Waitress changes crying baby's diaper in restaurant. When the father saw her, Emily Parker never imagined her life would change completely on a Tuesday afternoon at the Home Flavor restaurant in downtown Portland. The desperate cries of a baby had been echoing through the women's bathroom for over 15 minutes, and she could no longer ignore them. When she pushed the bathroom door open, she found a scene that made her heart race. A newborn no more than 2 weeks old was alone on the sink counter, wrapped only in a wet blue towel. His tiny hands trembled as he cried loudly, his little face red from the effort. "My God, where is your mother?" whispered Emily, looking around. The bathroom was empty, completely empty, just her and that helpless baby. Without a second thought, she approached and picked up the little one. The child calmed slightly at the warmth of human touch, but remained restless. Emily noticed. The diaper was soaked and dirty. The blue towel wrapped around him was also wet and cold. The baby needed urgent care. Without hesitation, she began removing the dirty diaper, using paper towels and warm water from the tap to clean the child as gently as possible. "Shh, little one. It's okay now," she murmured as she worked. Her hands, used to carrying plates and wiping tables, now moved with surprising maternal delicacy. Every motion was careful not to hurt the baby's sensitive skin. She dampened paper towels with warm water and cleaned every inch, drying him with fresh paper towels. The problem was there was no clean diaper. Emily improvised, folding several paper towels into a makeshift diaper. It wasn't ideal, but it would do until she found a better solution. Then she took off her work apron and wrapped the baby, who finally stopped crying. "There you go, sweetheart. Now you're clean and warm," she said, rocking the child. Just then she heard hurried footsteps approaching. The bathroom door swung open forcefully, and a tall man in his 30s, with messy dark hair and wrinkled clothes, rushed in frantically. "Ethan, where are you?" he shouted before spotting Emily holding the baby. His expression changed instantly, from desperation to relief, then confusion, and finally a mix of gratitude and embarrassment. He stopped abruptly, breathing heavily as if he'd been running. You found my son?" he asked, his voice choked. "He was alone in here, crying. He needed a diaper change," Emily explained, still swaying the baby. "Where were you?" The man ran his hands through his hair, clearly distressed. I just stepped out for a minute to grab diapers from the car. When I came back, he wasn't in the carrier I left outside. I thought someone had..." His voice broke. "Someone must have brought him in here because he was crying," Emily said, noticing how exhausted the man looked. "Are you okay?" "I haven't slept properly in 2 weeks. Ethan was born premature, and we were in the hospital until last week. My wife, she had complications and is still there. Today's my first time alone with him." Emily's heart ached. She recognized that look of desperation and exhaustion, the same one she'd seen in the mirror every day for the past 3 years, since losing her own pregnancy in the 8th month. "What's his name?" she asked softly. "Ethan James. He's 2 weeks old today," the father replied, reaching out. "Can I..." Emily carefully handed the baby over. She watched as the man held his son with a mix of love and uncertainty. It was obvious he adored the child more than anything, but it was also clear he was overwhelmed. "Do you know how to change a diaper?" she asked. He blushed slightly. "Learned yesterday, kind of. The nurse showed me how, but I still get confused with the tabs and..." He sighed. "I don't know how mothers make it look so easy." "Is your wife okay?" Emily asked gently. "The doctors say she is, but she'll be hospitalized for another week. She had an infection after delivery. I tried to convince her to leave Ethan with my mother-in-law today, but she refused. Said I need to learn to take care of him on my own, too." Emily noticed the man's hands trembling slightly as he held the baby. Ethan started crying again, and the father seemed to panic. "What's wrong?" "He was fine just a moment ago," he said, rocking the baby awkwardly. "He might be hungry. When was the last time he fed?" "About 2 hours ago, I think, or 3. I've lost track of time," he admitted, clearly overwhelmed. "Do you have a bottle with you?" "I do, but it's in the car, along with the diapers and everything else. I just came in for a quick coffee and everything went wrong." Emily saw the man was on the verge of a breakdown. His eyes were red from exhaustion and his hands wouldn't stop shaking. She made an impulsive decision. "Would you like me to hold him while you go get the things from the car? My name is Emily, I work here, you can trust me." He hesitated for a moment, looking between her and the baby. "I'm Brandon Miller, and I really could use the help," he admitted, seeming relieved to have someone offer support. "Go get your things, I'll stay with Ethan. I'll take him to a quieter table in the restaurant where there's less noise." Brandon handed the baby back to Emily, and she noticed his shoulders relax slightly. "Thank you. I'll be back in 5 minutes, I promise." Emily left the restroom carrying Ethan, who immediately calmed down at her gentle movements. She chose a table in the quietest corner of the restaurant, far from the kitchen and the main entrance. Sitting there rocking the baby, Emily felt a mix of emotions she hadn't experienced in years. Holding such a small child in her arms brought back painful memories, but it also gave her a sense of purpose she had lost. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. Brandon returned in less than 5 minutes, carrying a large bag that seemed to hold the entire world. He sat across from Emily, placing the bag on the table with a sigh of relief. "Got everything, diapers, bottles, extra clothes, wipes." He started listing, pulling items out. "You brought a lot for just a quick coffee," Emily remarked with a smile. "My mother-in-law said to always carry everything because babies are unpredictable." "Guess she was right," he laughed nervously. "Can I prepare the bottle here?" "Of course, I'll ask the kitchen for warm water to heat the milk." Emily stood up, still holding Ethan, and went to the kitchen. Mrs. Johnson, the cook, greeted her with curiosity. "Emily, what a beautiful baby. Whose is it?" "A customer's. I need warm water to heat the bottle." "Of course, dear, but are you okay? You seem a little down." Emily forced a smile. Mrs. Johnson had known her for 3 years, ever since she started working at the restaurant after everything that happened. The cook had always been like a mother to her. "I'm fine. Just helping the dad. He seems a little lost." "First child?" "Seems like it." Mrs. Johnson warmed the water and handed it to Emily. "You've always been good with kids. It's a shame that—" She stopped herself, realizing she was treading on delicate ground. "It's okay, Mrs. Johnson. Thanks for the water." Emily returned to the table where Brandon was trying to mix the powdered milk into the bottle, clearly doing it wrong from the bubbles forming. Let me help," offered Emily, sitting down and handing Ethan to Brandon. "First you put the water, then the powder. Stir slowly so it doesn't foam." She prepared the bottle with precise movements, tested the temperature on her wrist, and handed it to Brandon. "Now hold him like this, with his head higher than his body. The bottle should be tilted so he doesn't swallow air." Brandon followed the instructions, but Ethan refused the bottle, turning his little face away and crying. "What am I doing wrong?" he asked, frustrated. "Nothing. Sometimes they're just stubborn," said Emily, taking Ethan back. "Let me try." To their surprise, Ethan accepted the bottle immediately when Emily offered it. He began drinking hungrily, making small sounds of satisfaction. "How did you do that?" Brandon asked, impressed. "I don't know. Maybe it's the way I held him, or maybe he was just testing you," Emily joked, though inside she knew there was more to it. She had always had a way with children, a natural instinct she'd never been able to use with her own. "Do you have kids?" Brandon asked, watching how naturally she cared for Ethan. The question hit Emily like a punch to the gut. She took a few seconds to answer, keeping her eyes fixed on the baby. "No, I don't have children," she said simply. Brandon noticed the shift in her tone and realized he'd touched a sensitive subject. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to pry. It's okay, it's just complicated." They sat in silence for a few minutes, watching Ethan drink. The baby was clearly calmer now, his little belly full and his body warmed by Emily's apron. "Can I ask you something?" Brandon finally said. "Of course." "You did all this for a stranger, why?" Emily thought for a long moment. How could she explain that caring for this baby had awakened a part of her she thought was dead? How could she Say that in the last 15 minutes, she'd felt more useful and whole than she had in the last 3 years. Because he needed it. And because sometimes life gives us chances to help and we have to take them. Your answer reminds me of something my wife always says. She's a nurse, you know, always talking about how small gestures can change everything. What's her name? Rachel Miller. She works at Mercy Hospital here in town. That's where Ethan was born. Emily knew the hospital. It was where she had lost her baby 3 years ago, where her dreams of motherhood had been shattered, along with the news that she could never get pregnant again due to complications. She must be eager to come home with both of you. She is. She calls 10 times a day asking about Ethan. She's tearing herself up with guilt for not being here, even though the infection wasn't her fault. Ethan finished the bottle, and Emily automatically positioned him to burp, gently patting his back until a loud burp escaped. "Wow, how do you know how to do that?" Brandon asked, genuinely amazed. "I guess it's instinct," Emily lied. In truth, she had read hundreds of books about babies in the months before losing her pregnancy. She knew every detail about childcare, but had never had the chance to use that knowledge. "You should have kids. You'd be an amazing mother." Brandon's words echoed in Emily's mind like a knife to the heart. She forced a smile. Life doesn't always give us what we want, does it? Just then, Ethan started crying again, even after drinking and burping. "Now what?" Brandon asked, clearly lost once more. Emily discreetly sniffed the makeshift towel diaper. "Time for a real diaper change. Let's go to the restroom." "Can you show me exactly how? I always make a mess." "Of course, come on." They went to the women's restroom, where there was a foldable changing table. Emily showed Brandon step by step how to clean, how to position the new diaper, how to fasten the tabs just right. "The idea is to make it snug but not tight. You should be able to slide a finger between the diaper and his belly." Brandon tried, but his large hands seemed clumsy for something so delicate. "I can't do it. The tabs end up crooked or too loose. Take your time. It's all about practice. In the first few months, you'll change about 10 diapers a day. It'll become automatic." 10 a day? Brandon's eyes widened. "Sometimes more. Newborns poop and pee constantly." Emily laughed. "But after a while, you won't even notice." After 3 tries, Brandon managed to put the diaper on decently. Ethan stopped crying and seemed comfortable again. "I did it!" He smiled as if he'd climbed a mountain. "Congratulations, Dad, you're learning." They returned to the table, where Ethan finally fell asleep in Emily's arms. She rocked him gently, watching his peaceful, angelic face. "He's beautiful," she whispered. "He looks just like Rachel. Only the eyes are mine," Brandon said proudly. "When he was born, I cried like a baby. I never thought it was possible to love someone this much from the very first second." "A father's love really is something incredible," Emily said, feeling a pang in her chest. "You must have been very loved by your own father." Emily laughed bitterly. "Actually, my father left us when I was 5. My mother raised me and my sister alone. I'm sorry, I didn't know. How could you? But that's why I find it so touching to see a father who cares so much. Ethan is lucky." Brandon watched Emily for a moment. There was something in her expression, a deep sadness she tried to hide but which showed when she thought no one was looking. "Can I repay your help somehow? Take you to dinner or—" "No need. It was my pleasure. At least let me give you my number. If you don't mind, I'd like to stay in touch. Rachel will want to thank you in person when she's out of the hospital." Emily hesitated. Part of her wanted to stay connected, wanted to know how Ethan was growing, wanted to remain part of that little family even from afar. But another part knew it would be torture to follow the life of a child who wasn't hers, of a family she'd never have. "I think it's better not to. It was nice helping you today, but we all have our own paths, right? Are you sure? You were an angel today. Literally saved my day. And Ethan's too." "I'm sure. Good luck with everything." Brandon looked disappointed but respected her decision. He gathered his things, got Ethan ready to leave, and stood up. "At least tell me your full name, so Rachel knows who helped us so much." "Emily Parker. I work here at Home Flavor Tuesday through Saturday." "Emily Parker. I'll never forget. Brandon leaned in and kissed Ethan's forehead, still asleep in Emily's arms. Thank you for everything, from the bottom of my heart. He carefully took Ethan, and Emily felt an immediate emptiness in her arms as the baby left her hold. It was as if a part of her had gone with him. Take good care of him, she said, her voice shakier than she'd like. I will, I promise. Emily watched Brandon leave the restaurant with Ethan, disappearing into the crowd outside. He stood there for long minutes, feeling the ghost of the baby's weight in her arms. Emily? Mrs. Johnson's voice brought her back to reality. Are you all right, dear? I'm fine. Just a little tired. Want to leave? Early today? I can cover your shift. No, thank you. Work distracts me. But that afternoon, Emily couldn't focus on anything. She dropped 2 plates, forgot orders, and almost put salt instead of sugar in a customer's coffee. Her mind was completely occupied with Ethan and Brandon. When she got home that night, in the small apartment she shared with her sister Jennifer, she couldn't stop thinking about the baby. She kept wondering if he had slept well, if Brandon had managed to give him his nighttime bottle, if Rachel had called to check how his day had been. You've been acting strange since you got home, Jennifer observed, watching TV in the living room. Did something happen at work? Emily told her sister about meeting Brandon and Ethan. Jennifer listened carefully, but her expression grew more concerned as the story unfolded. Are you sure you're okay? You know that being around a baby can stir up everything that happened. I know, but it was just a humanitarian thing. No big deal. No big deal? I have that same look you used to get when you talked about little Mikey. Mikey was the name Emily had chosen for the baby she lost. Jennifer was the only person who knew about it. This has nothing to do with Michael. It was different. Was it? Because you have the exact same expression as 3 years ago. That mix of pain and love that always worried me. Emily sighed and sat beside her sister on the couch. Jen, I don't know how to explain it. When I held Ethan in my arms, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Like I was good for something. You know, you're good for plenty of things, Em. You helped me get through college. You take care of Mrs. Johnson like she's our grandma. It's not the same. Today I felt whole. For 15 minutes I felt like a real mother. Jennifer hugged her sister, her heart aching. Honey, you have to be careful. You can't get attached to someone else's child. It'll only hurt you. I know, that's why I turned down staying in touch. I know it would be foolish. That was the right decision. Now you need to move on and forget. But Emily couldn't forget. In the days that followed, she caught herself constantly thinking about Ethan. She wondered if he was growing well, if Brandon was managing to care for him alone, when Rachel would be discharged from the hospital. On Thursday, 2 days after their meeting, Emily was wiping down tables when she saw Brandon walk into the restaurant. He was carrying Ethan in the baby carrier and looked less frantic than he had on Tuesday. Emily's heart raced. Part of her was happy to see them again. Another part was nervous. She had hoped he wouldn't come back. Hi, Emily, Brandon greeted her with a smile. Can I sit at the same table as Tuesday? Of course, she replied, trying to keep her voice steady. Brandon sat down and lifted Ethan out of the carrier. The baby was awake and calm, looking around curiously. He's bigger, Emily remarked, stepping closer to the table. 2 days and he already looks different. Babies grow so fast. How's it been at home? Better. I managed to change 4 diapers yesterday without making a mess. And he slept 3 hours straight last night. That's great. And Rachel? She's being discharged tomorrow. She's eager to meet you. Meet me? Emily was surprised. I told her everything you did. She was really moved. She wants to thank you in person. Brandon, I said I'd rather not. I know. But she insisted. Said she can't rest knowing a stranger took better care of her son than her own husband and can't even say thank you. Ethan started fussing and Brandon immediately looked nervous. What does he want now? He ate an hour ago. May I? Emily asked, holding out her arms. Brandon handed Ethan over and the baby immediately calmed in her embrace. How do you do that? It's like he's known you for years. Babies can sense when you're calm. You're still tense. I'm just afraid of doing something wrong. Once Rachel is home, at least I'll have help. Emily gently rocked Ethan, feeling that same sense of wholeness again. It was dangerous, she knew, but she couldn't resist. "Would you like some coffee?" he offered. "Yes, please. And this time I'll actually get to drink it hot," Brandon laughed. Emily brought the coffee and kept holding Ethan. The baby was clearly comfortable, making little sounds of contentment. "Emily, can I tell you something?" Brandon said after taking a sip. "Of course. On Tuesday, after I left here, I called Rachel and told her everything. She cried. She said you must have been sent by God because she was desperate, thinking about how I wouldn't be able to take care of Ethan alone. She's exaggerating. Anyone would have done the same." "That's not true. You saw where Ethan was?" "In the bathroom, alone, crying. At least 5 people walked by before you did. I even heard a woman comment to her friend about a crybaby before I found you two." Emily felt anger toward the people who ignored Ethan but didn't say anything. "Rachel wants to invite you over for dinner on Sunday, just to thank you and to meet the person who saved her day. Brandon, I know you said you'd rather not stay in touch, but it's just one dinner, just once, so she can have some peace of mind." Emily looked down at Ethan, who had fallen asleep in her arms. She knew she should say no, that getting more involved with this family would only bring pain. But the desire to spend more time with the baby was stronger than reason. "Just one dinner? Just one, I promise." "All right, but it has to be quick. I don't like going out much on Sundays." "Perfect. How about around 7? I can pick you up here." "No need to pick me up. Just give me the address." Brandon wrote the address on a napkin and handed it to Emily. "Rachel will be so happy. She's been eager to meet you since Tuesday." Ethan woke up and started fussing again. This time, Emily handed him back to Brandon without being asked. "I think he's hungry. It's about time." "How do you know?" "It's been almost 3 hours since his last feeding. Newborns eat every 3 hours during the day." Brandon prepared the bottle following the instructions Emily had given him on Tuesday. He got it right on the first try. "I'm getting better," he said proudly. "You are? When Rachel gets home, you two will make a great team." "I hope. So I'm afraid of disappointing her." "Why do you think that?" "Because she's a nurse. She knows everything about babies. And I'm an accountant. My experience with kids was 0 until 2 weeks ago. But you love Ethan. That's what matters most. More than anything. But sometimes love isn't enough, right? You need knowledge too. Knowledge can be learned. Love can't." Ethan was feeding peacefully, and Brandon looked more relaxed watching his son. "Emily, can I ask you a personal question?" "Depends on the question." "Did you really never want kids? Because you're so natural with them?" The question caught Emily off guard. She stayed silent for a few seconds, deciding how to respond. "I did want them, very much, but sometimes life doesn't cooperate. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring up something painful. It's okay, it's part of life." But inside, Emily was conflicted. Part of her wanted to tell Brandon about Michael, about the pregnancy she lost, about never being able to conceive again. Maybe he'd understand why taking care of Ethan affected her so deeply. "How old are you?" Brandon asked. 28. "You're still young. There's time for things to change." If only he knew, Emily thought. If only he knew. Nothing would ever change. That she'd never be a mother. That these moments with Ethan were the closest to motherhood she'd ever get. "We'll see," she said simply. Ethan finished the bottle and Brandon managed to burp him without help. He was clearly more confident than on Tuesday. "I did it. No spills or anything. Congratulations. You're becoming a real dad." "Thank you. For everything. Even for agreeing to dinner on Sunday. Rachel will be over the moon with happiness." Brandon put Ethan back in the car seat, gathered his things, and stood up. "See you Sunday then. 7 o'clock. See you Sunday." Emily watched them leave again, but this time with different feelings. She was looking forward to Sunday, but also nervous. Meeting Rachel meant getting even more involved with that family. And the more involved she got, the harder it would be to walk away later. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. That night, Emily told Jennifer about the dinner invitation. Are you sure this is a good idea?" her sister asked, concerned. "It's just dinner to thank me. And then, do you think they'll just disappear from your life? They'll have to. I can't keep getting attached to someone. Elsa's child. But you already are, I can see it in your eyes. Emily sighed. Jennifer knew her too well. Jen, I know it's risky, but I need to do this. I need to see where Ethan lives, meet his mother, get a full picture of his family. Why? To say goodbye properly, to close this chapter and move on. Are you sure that's what this is? Or are you just making excuses to spend more time with the baby? Emily didn't answer because she wasn't sure herself. On Saturday, Emily spent the day anxious. She changed clothes 3 times, fixed her hair twice, and almost cancelled dinner 5 times. You're way too nervous for a simple thank you dinner, Jennifer observed. I'm nervous because I don't know what to expect. What if they want me to be their nanny? What if they think I'm interested in Brandon? What if Rachel doesn't like me? Breathe. You're creating problems that don't exist. What if Ethan doesn't remember me? It's been 4 days since Thursday. A 2-week-old baby doesn't have memory, sweetie. But even if he did, I'm sure he'd react well to you. I saw how calm he was in your arms. Should I bring something? A gift for Ethan? No, you're not family friends. You're just an acquaintance going to say thanks. But Emily ended up buying a light blue onesie for Ethan. It was too small to resist when she saw it in the baby store window. Sunday came, and at 7 sharp, Emily was at Brandon and Rachel's doorstep. It was a small but cozy house, with a well-kept garden and a porch full of plants. Before she could even ring the bell, the door opened. A woman with light brown hair and green eyes smiled at her. She was thin, clearly still recovering from childbirth, but radiated warmth. You must be Emily. I'm Rachel. Come in, please. Rachel hugged her like they were old friends, and Emily was surprised by the warm welcome. Hi, Rachel, thanks for the invitation. Don't mention it. I'm the one who should be thanking you for the rest of my life. They walked into the living room, where Brandon was sitting on the couch with Ethan in his arms. The baby was awake and alert, moving his little arms. Hi, Emily, how are you? Good, thanks. And you? How was leaving the hospital? It was great, Rachel replied, sitting next to her husband. I missed home so much, my bed, my son. Rachel hasn't stopped talking about you since we left the hospital, Brandon said. Want to hold Ethan? Emily hesitated for a second but held out her arms. Ethan recognized her immediately, calming in her arms as he always did. Amazing, Rachel murmured. Brandon told me, but seeing is different. Ethan isn't like this with just anyone. He's very sweet, Emily said, avoiding direct eye contact with Rachel. Sweet? Rachel laughed. Yesterday he cried for 3 hours straight. We tried everything. Bottle, diaper, cuddles, music, bath. Nothing worked. In the end we found out it was just colic. Colic is normal in the first few months. A belly massage helps, Emily said automatically. Do you know how to do a colic massage? Rachel asked, interested. I read about it, gentle circular motions clockwise. Can you teach me after dinner? Of course. Rachel got up to go to the kitchen, and Emily took the opportunity to look around the house. It was simple but cozy, with many photos of Rachel and Brandon throughout their relationship. There were some pregnancy photos, and Emily felt a pang of pain seeing Rachel's belly growing over the months. The house is beautiful, she commented. We bought it 2 years ago when we decided to try for a baby, Brandon said. Rachel wanted a place with a yard for the kids to play. Kids, plural. The plan is to have 3 or 4, Brandon laughed. But first, let's see how we do with Ethan. Emily's heart tightened. Imagining Rachel pregnant 3 more times, 3 more babies that wouldn't be hers, was too painful. Dinner's ready, Rachel called from the kitchen. They sat at the table with Ethan asleep in Emily's arms. Rachel had prepared a delicious homemade dinner, roasted chicken, rice, beans, salad, and stuffing. Everything is delicious, Emily praised. Thank you. Cooking relaxes me. During the pregnancy, I spent hours making sweets and snacks. Brandon gained more weight than I did, Rachel joked. It's true, Brandon admitted, laughing. 5 pounds of sympathy weight. Emily, Brandon told me you work at Home Flavor. How long has it been? 3 years, since I moved to Portland. Where are you from? Eugene. I came here after some life changes. Rachel noticed Emily didn't want to go into details and changed the subject. And your family? Any siblings? One sister. Jennifer, she's studying psychology. That's great. I almost studied psychology before choosing nursing. I've always been interested in the human mind. The conversation flowed naturally during dinner. Rachel was warm and funny, sharing stories from the hospital and her pregnancy. Brandon filled in her stories, and it was obvious they were a very close couple. Emily found herself imagining what it would be like to have a family like that. A husband who loved her, a baby to care for, a home full of love and laughter. It was everything she'd ever wanted and would never have. Emily? Rachel's voice brought her back to reality. Are you okay? Sorry, I got distracted. What did you ask? If you have a boyfriend. No, I don't have a boyfriend. By choice or because the right person hasn't? Come along, Rachel asked with genuine curiosity. Emily hesitated. How could she explain she'd closed her heart after losing Michael? How could she say she couldn't date because any man she met would want children and she couldn't give that to anyone? A bit of both, she answered vaguely. I get it. Relationships are complicated. Brandon and I took 5 years to decide to marry. 5 years? Emily was surprised. Yeah, Brandon laughed. Rachel didn't want serious commitment, said she had other priorities. And I did, Rachel defended herself. I wanted to finish college, get a stable job, save money. I didn't want to rush into marriage. What changed? A doctor's appointment, Rachel said, looking at Brandon fondly. I found out I had endometriosis. The doctor said if I wanted kids, I shouldn't wait too long. Emily felt the world spin. Endometriosis was exactly what had caused the complications in her pregnancy, what had led to losing Michael and the impossibility of getting pregnant again. Emily? You've gone pale, Brandon observed, concerned. I'm fine. It's just, I know that disease. Do you have endometriosis? Rachel asked. I did. I had complications because of it. Rachel immediately understood what Emily wasn't saying. Did you lose a baby? Silence fell over the table. Emily looked down at Ethan sleeping in her arms, then at Rachel and Brandon, who watched her with compassion. 3 years ago, 8th month of pregnancy. Oh my God, Emily, I'm so sorry, Rachel said, her eyes welling up. And now, can you try again? Brandon asked gently. No, the complications were too severe. The doctors said another. Pregnancy would put my life at risk. Rachel stood and hugged Emily, who was fighting back tears. Now I understand why you took such good care of Ethan, and why you were a little distant when Brandon wanted to stay in touch. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. It's hard to talk about. You don't have to apologize. I can't imagine how painful it must be. Emily looked at Ethan, still sleeping peacefully. When I held him on Tuesday, I felt something I hadn't felt in 3 years. For a few minutes I felt like a real mother. And you are a mother in your heart, Rachel said softly. I've seen how you care for him. It's pure love. But it's not the same. It'll never be the same. Emily, Brandon said, you saved my day on Tuesday. If it weren't for you, I would have completely panicked. Ethan stayed calm in your arms when he wouldn't in mine. You taught me things I didn't know. You were essential for us. Brandon's right, Rachel agreed, and I have a proposal for you. What proposal? How would you like to be our helper? Not a babysitter, but someone who helps us with Ethan when we need it. I'm going back to work in 2 months, and we don't have family nearby to help. Emily's heart raced. The offer was tempting, but also dangerous. Caring for Ethan regularly would mean growing even more attached, making the final separation even harder. Rachel, I don't know. Think about it. You don't have to answer now, but know it would mean a lot to us. And you'd earn some extra income. Can I think it over? Of course, no pressure. They finished dinner and Rachel asked Emily to show her the colic massage. They went to Ethan's room, a cozy space with light wood furniture and soft blue walls. Emily demonstrated the movements on Ethan's belly as he woke but stayed calm. Like this, very gentle, always clockwise, it helps his digestion. You really know so much about babies, Rachel observed. I read a lot when I was pregnant. I wanted to be prepared for everything. And the name, had you picked one? Michael James Parker. Rachel and Brandon exchanged a glance. Ethan's middle name was James. What a coincidence. That their middle names are the same, Rachel remarked. Yeah. When Brandon told me Ethan's name was Ethan James, it tugged at my heart. Ethan started fussing, and Emily instinctively picked him up, rocking him gently. He likes you, Rachel said. It's amazing. Maybe he senses I need him as much as he needs me, Emily said without thinking. What do you mean? Nothing, just thinking out loud. But Rachel understood exactly what Emily meant. She saw in the other woman's expression the same maternal longing she felt. The difference was Rachel could fulfill it with her own child, while Emily could only experience it with someone else's. Emily, can I be honest with you? Of course. I think you need Ethan as much as he needs you. And I think it would be good for everyone if you accepted our offer. Rachel, listen, I know it's complicated. I know caring for someone else's child doesn't replace having your own. But maybe it's a way to channel your motherly love in a positive way. Emily stayed quiet, swaying with Ethan. She knew Rachel was right. Caring for Ethan filled a void she'd carried for 3 years. But she also knew that the more time she spent with him, the harder the inevitable separation would be. You could find someone better, someone with more experience. We don't want professional experience. We want someone who loves Ethan. And you do love him, don't you? Emily looked down at the baby in her arms and couldn't lie. I do, but that's exactly why I don't know if it's a good idea. Why not? Because one day you won't need me anymore. Ethan will grow up, you'll have other children, your families will grow closer, and I'll be alone again. Only this. Time, it'll hurt even more because I'll have had a taste of what it's like to be part of a family. Rachel felt her eyes well up. The pain in Emily's voice was palpable. Emily, we're not the kind of people who use someone and then discard them. If you come into our lives, it'll be to stay, as real family. You can't promise that. Circumstances change, people change. Some things don't change. Love doesn't change. And I already love you for what you've done for my son and my husband. Brandon, who had been silently watching the conversation, stepped closer. Emily, can I tell you something? Last night, after Rachel came home from the hospital, we talked about you, about how Ethan reacted differently with you, about how you helped us without asking for anything in return. And we realized you came into our lives for a reason, maybe to help us with Ethan, maybe for Ethan to help you cope with your loss, or maybe for all of us to form a different kind of family, but a family nonetheless. A family? Yes, not by blood but by choice, a family of love. Emily felt the tears begin to fall. It was everything she'd ever wanted to hear, but also everything she feared believing. What if it doesn't work out? What if you change your minds? What if it does? Rachel countered. What if it's exactly what we all need? Ethan chose that moment to open his eyes and look straight at Emily. For a few seconds, they stared at each other, and Emily felt as if the baby was trying to tell her something. He's choosing you, Rachel whispered. Babies don't choose, they just react. Maybe it's the same thing. Emily stayed another hour at Rachel and Brandon's house, helping with Ethan's nighttime routine. She bathed him, dressed him in his pajamas, and prepared his bottle, all with a natural ease that amazed the couple. Are you sure you've never taken care of a baby before? Rachel asked. Never. I just read a lot. Theory and practice are very different. You have a natural gift. When it was time to leave, Emily handed over the gift she'd bought for Ethan. You didn't have to, Rachel said, touched by the little blue outfit. I wanted to. It's small but meaningful. At the door, Rachel hugged Emily again. Think about our offer, okay? No pressure, but think about it. I will. And if you want to visit Ethan before deciding, stop by the hospital. I work mornings in pediatrics. Thank you for dinner and for the talk. Thank you for existing. Emily went home with mixed feelings. On one hand, she was happy to have spent time with Ethan and to have met Rachel, who turned out to be a wonderful person. On the other hand, she was more confused than ever about what to do. How was it? Jennifer asked as soon as she walked. Very complicated. Emily told her sister everything, the conversation about Michael, the job offer, the feeling of being part of a family. Em, you have to be careful. You're getting too involved. I know, but Jen, for the first time in 3 years, I felt like I could actually be useful, like I could use my maternal instincts for something good. And then what? When Ethan grows up and doesn't need constant care anymore? Rachel said they want more children and that I'd be part of the family for real. Honey, you're holding on to promises from people you just met a week ago. That's dangerous. I know it's dangerous, but I also know that if I don't try, I'll regret it for the rest of my life. And what if you try and it doesn't work out? Then at least I'll have tried. Jen, for the last 3 years, I've just been surviving. I haven't really been living. With Ethan, I feel alive again. Jennifer sighed. She knew her sister well enough to understand that once Emily made an emotional decision, it was hard to change her mind. If you decide to accept, I'll support you. But promise me you'll be careful with your heart. I promise. But Emily knew it was already too late to protect her heart. She was completely in love with Ethan and enchanted by the possibility of being part of that family. On Monday, Emily couldn't focus at work. She spent the whole day thinking about Rachel and Brandon's proposal. With every customer she served, her mind wandered back to Ethan, how it felt to hold him, how he calmed down with her. Emily, you're daydreaming today, Mrs. Johnson observed during lunch. I've been thinking about some things. Does it have to do with that baby you helped last week? How did you know? Sweetheart, I've worked with you for 3 years. I can tell when something moves you. And since Tuesday, you've been different. Emily told Mrs. Johnson about the job offer. And you want to accept? I do, but I'm scared. Scared of what? Of getting too attached, of hurting again. Mrs. Johnson stopped eating and looked at Emily seriously. Dear, can I give you some advice from someone who's lived a long life? Of course. The pain that comes from love is always worth more than the absence of pain that comes from emptiness. You've spent 3 years avoiding attachments to anything or anyone, and look where that's gotten you. You're alive, but you're not living. But what if it doesn't work out? What if I get attached and then they let me go? What if it does work? What if it's exactly what you need to heal? Do you think I should accept? I think you should stop being afraid of being happy. Mrs. Johnson's words echoed in Emily's mind for the rest of the day. By the time the restaurant closed, she decided to stop by the hospital to see Rachel. Mercy Hospital was the place where she had lost Michael. She hadn't been back there in 3 years, and the familiar hospital smell brought back painful memories. For a moment, she thought about turning around and leaving. But her desire to see Ethan was stronger. She asked at the front desk for Nurse Rachel Miller and was directed to pediatrics. She found Rachel chatting with a colleague at the nursing station. Rachel smiled when she saw Emily. What a nice surprise. Are you here to visit someone? I came to see you if you have time. Of course, my shift ends in 15 minutes. Want to wait? I do. Rachel finished her tasks and took Emily to the break room, where they could talk privately. Have you thought about our proposal? I have. A lot. And I want to accept. Rachel's face lit up. Really? That's wonderful. Brandon will be so happy. But I have some conditions. Of course, what are they? First, I want it to be clear that I'm an employee, not family, at least at first, until we all know if it's going to work out. If that's how you feel most comfortable. Second, if at any point you feel it's not working out, you can let me go without any issues. No drama, no guilt. Emily, that won't happen. It might. And I need to know that it's okay if it does. All right. Any other conditions? Third, and most important, if I feel I'm getting too attached, if it starts hurting me, I'll leave. And you have to understand and accept that. Rachel was silent for a few seconds. Can I ask you something? Sure. Are you accepting our offer, or are you preparing to reject it before even trying? The question caught Emily off guard. What do you mean? All your conditions are about how and when you can leave. None are about making it work. Emily thought about Rachel's observation. It's hard for me to believe things can work out. In the last 3 years, every time I let myself hope for something good, I was disappointed. Emily, I understand you're scared, but if you go into this already thinking about leaving, it really won't work. Then what do you suggest? That you really try, with an open heart, with hope. Give yourself a real chance to be happy. And if I'm disappointed again, then at least you'll have tried, and you'll have had good moments along the way. Emily fell silent, considering Rachel's words. Okay, I'll really try. I'll try to believe it can work. Great, when can you start? Whenever you want. How about tomorrow? I go back to work on Thursday, so it'd be good to start before. Then so you can get used to Ethan's routine. Tomorrow is perfect. Rachel hugged Emily, clearly emotional. You don't know how happy I am. Brandon will freak out when he finds out. How do you want to handle payment and schedules? We'll go over everything properly at home. You come by tomorrow morning around 9? I can. Perfect. Oh, and Emily? Yes? Welcome to the family. Rachel's words made Emily's heart race. For the first time in 3 years, she let herself believe that maybe, just maybe, things could work out. That night, Emily told Jennifer about her decision. I hope you know what you're doing, her sister said. I don't, but I'll try to figure it out. All right, I'll be here for whatever you need. Thanks, Jen, for always supporting me even when you think I'm making a mistake. That's what sisters are for. On Tuesday morning, Emily arrived at Rachel and Brandon's house with a racing heart. It was her first day as Ethan's caregiver, and she was nervous about how it would go. Rachel greeted her at the door, already dressed for work. Good morning, how are you? Nervous, Emily admitted. It's normal, but I'm sure everything will be fine. They walked inside, where Brandon was trying to feed Ethan, who was crying and refusing the bottle. He's been like this for half an hour, Brandon said, frustrated. I don't know what else to do. Can I try? Emily offered. Brandon handed Ethan to her, and the baby calmed down almost instantly. He took the bottle without resistance, drinking hungrily. It's amazing, Rachel murmured. How do you do that? I don't know. Maybe it's just luck. It's not luck, it's a connection, Rachel said, grabbing her bag. Let me show you where everything is before I leave for work. Rachel gave her a tour of the house, pointing out where the diapers, clothes, medicine, toys, and anything else Emily might need were kept. She left a list with feeding times, nap schedules, and other important details. If anything comes up, call me at the hospital or call Brandon at the office. The numbers are on the fridge. Everything will be fine, Emily said, more to convince herself than to reassure Rachel. I know it will. Ethan is in good hands. Rachel kissed her son and husband goodbye and left for work. Brandon also said his goodbyes, leaving Emily alone with Ethan for the first time. Now what, little one, what should we do? She asked the baby, who had finished eating and was watching her with curious eyes. Emily followed the routine Rachel had written down. She changed Ethan's diaper, dressed him in clean clothes, and then spent some time just watching the baby, who seemed fascinated by her. You're so beautiful, you know that? She whispered, gently touching his little face. Your parents are very lucky. Ethan smiled, or at least Emily thought it was a smile, and her heart melted completely. The day passed peacefully. Ethan took 2 long naps, nursed right on schedule, and didn't cry even once while in Emily's arms. It was as if they were perfectly in sync. During Ethan's naps, Emily took the opportunity to tidy up the house. She washed some of the baby's clothes, organized his room, and prepared his bottle for when he woke up. She felt useful and needed in a way she hadn't experienced in years. In the mid-afternoon, when Ethan was awake and alert, Emily decided to take him to the backyard. The day was beautiful, with soft sunlight and a pleasant breeze. She sat on the grass with Ethan in her lap, showing him the plants and flowers. Look at the birds, Ethan. They're singing for you, she said, pointing to the birds in the trees. Ethan seemed to pay attention to the sounds and colors around him. His eyes followed Emily's gestures, as if he understood everything she was saying. Your mommy has a beautiful garden. When you're older, you'll be able to play here, run on the grass, climb this tree. Emily caught herself imagining Ethan growing up, crawling around the house, taking his first steps, saying his first words. For a moment, she allowed herself to fantasize that she would be the one there to witness all those milestones. Her phone rang, snapping her out of her daydream. It was Rachel. "Hi, Emily. How's everything going?" "Perfect. Ethan's been an angel." "That's great. Did he eat well?" "Yes, and he napped twice. Right now we're in the backyard and he's watching the birds." "You took him outside? What a great idea." "I've always wanted to do that, but was too nervous. The day is lovely and he seems to be enjoying it." "Emily, I don't know how to thank you. Knowing Ethan is happy and well makes me so much more at ease at work. I'm glad to help. I'll be home around 6. Call me if anything comes up." "Of course." When Rachel hung up, Emily looked at Ethan and smiled. "Your mommy loves you so much, little one, and so does your daddy. You're very lucky." Ethan made a little noise that Emily took as agreement. The rest of the afternoon flew by. Emily gave Ethan a bath. He loved the warm water, changed his clothes and got everything ready for when Rachel arrived. When Rachel walked in, she found Emily in the living room with Ethan in her arms, both watching a children's show on TV. "How was the first day?" Rachel asked, dropping her bag and walking over. "Wonderful. Ethan was perfect all day." "And how did you feel?" Emily thought about the question. How had she felt? Complete, useful, happy, but also startled by the intensity of her own emotions. "I felt good. Natural." "That's great." Rachel took Ethan into her arms and kissed him. "Mommy missed you all day, sweetheart." Watching Rachel with Ethan stirred something in Emily that she couldn't quite name. It wasn't exactly jealousy, but a kind of sadness at knowing that, at the end of the day, she'd hand the baby back to his real mother. "Has Brandon gotten home yet?" Emily asked. "He should be here soon. He said he'd leave early today to hear how it went." As if summoned, Brandon walked through the front door. "How are my two loves?" he asked, kissing Rachel and then stroking Ethan's head. "Perfect," Rachel replied. "Emily is truly an angel." "I knew it would work out," Brandon said, smiling at Emily. "Ethan even seems calmer than yesterday." "He was a model baby all day," Emily said. "Emily, would you like to have dinner with us?" Rachel offered. "Thank you, but I should head home. Jennifer's waiting for me so we can have dinner together." "Of course, but before you go, can we go over some practical details?" They sat at the kitchen table to finalize the work arrangements. They agreed Emily would work Monday through Friday, from 9 to 6 with an hour for lunch. Her pay would be comparable to other nannies in the area, plus a transportation allowance. "One last question," Rachel said. "Do you have experience?" "With emergencies like fevers, severe colic, things like that. I have theoretical knowledge, but if something happens that I don't know how to handle, I'll call you right away or take him to the hospital." "Perfect. I think we've covered everything," said Brandon. Emily said goodbye and left, but the whole way home, she couldn't stop thinking about Ethan. It was strange how in just one day he had become the center of her thoughts. "How was it?" Jennifer asked as soon as she arrived. "Amazing. Ethan is a wonderful baby and Rachel and Brandon are incredible people." "You seem happy." "I am. For the first time in a long time, I'm truly happy." "That's great, Em. You deserve to be happy." But that night, as she lay in bed, Emily found herself wondering if Ethan was sleeping well, if he was warm enough, if he needed an extra bottle. It was as if a part of her had stayed in that house. And so began the best and most confusing months of Emily Parker's life. The first days as Ethan's caregiver settled into a routine Emily didn't even know she needed. She woke up early, had coffee with Jennifer, took the bus to Rachel and Brandon's neighborhood, and spent the whole day caring for the baby who had become the center of her existence. Ethan was an easy baby. He rarely cried without reason, slept on schedule, and always responded positively to Emily's presence. It was as if he knew she needed him just as much as he needed her. "You have a special gift," Rachel commented on Friday of the first week. "Ethan has never been this calm before." "Maybe it's because I'm always calm with him," Emily said. "Babies sense our energy. Or maybe it's just love. The way you look at him, it's the same way I do." Rachel's observation struck Emily. It was true. Her feelings for Ethan went far beyond professionalism. She loved him as if he were her own child, and that both scared and delighted her at the same time. By the second week, Emily began to feel like a real part of the family's routine. Rachel often asked her opinion about Ethan. Brandon consulted her when the baby was fussy, and she felt needed in a way she hadn't in years. "Emily, do you think Ethan is eating enough?" Rachel asked one Tuesday evening. "I think so. He's gaining weight, sleeping well, and his diapers are normal. Those are all signs he's well fed. The pediatrician said the same thing, but I always worry." "That's normal. You're a first-time mom. And you have the know-how of an experienced mother," Brandon joked. The joke, though, well-meaning, touched a sensitive spot for Emily. She didn't have the knowledge of an experienced mother, just theoretical knowledge she'd never had the chance to use with her own child. "It's just from reading," she said, trying to keep her tone light, but Rachel noticed her discomfort. "Brandon, can you check on Ethan? I want to talk to Emily about something." Brandon took the baby and went to the living room. Rachel sat beside Emily in the kitchen. "I'm sorry if Brandon said something that upset you. He didn't mean to." "I know, don't worry." "Emily, can I ask you something about Michael?" The name of the son Emily had lost was rarely spoken. She hesitated before answering. "Sure. Do you like talking about him, or do you prefer to avoid it?" "It depends. Why?" "Because sometimes I feel like you want to talk but hold back, and other times I feel like we accidentally touch on painful topics." Emily was silent for a moment. "It's complicated. Michael still is a part of me, but talking about him reminds me of everything I lost. So taking care of Ethan reminds you of him too. Yes and no. It reminds me of what I lost, but it also gives me a taste of what I could have had. It's painful and comforting at the same time." "That must be very confusing." "It is. Sometimes I feel guilty for loving Ethan, as if I'm betraying Michael's memory." "Emily, love isn't limited. You can love Michael forever and still love Ethan. They're different kinds of love, but both are just as valid." "You think so?" "I'm sure of it, and I believe Michael would be happy knowing you're channeling your motherly love to care for another child." Rachel's words brought tears to Emily's eyes. It was the first time someone had suggested that loving Ethan didn't diminish her love for Michael. "Thank you for saying that. It's the truth, and I want you to know that, to us, you're not just Ethan's caregiver, you're family." "Rachel, let me finish. I know you asked to be treated as an employee at first, and we respected that. But the truth is, we already consider you part of the family. Brandon and I talked about it yesterday." "Talked about what?" "About how you've changed our lives, about how much happier Ethan is with you, about how much more at ease we feel, knowing he's in your care. You're the real family. You're the aunt of his heart, the person Ethan chose to love beyond his parents. That's very special." Emily felt her heart warm. Being called an aunt, even if not by blood, was more than she ever expected. "Can I tell you something?" Rachel said. "Of course. Last night, Brandon and I were talking about having another baby, and the first thing we thought was, thank goodness Emily will be here to help." "You're already thinking of another baby? Ethan's only a month old." "Not right now," Rachel laughed, "but eventually, and knowing you'll be part of the family when that happens makes us so happy." The idea of being present for the birth and upbringing of Rachel and Brandon's future children filled Emily with a mix of joy and fear. Joy at the possibility of watching more children grow, fear at the intensity of the feelings it would stir. "Do you think it would be too much for you?" Rachel asked, noticing Emily's hesitation. "I don't know. Some days it's already overwhelming." "Overwhelming how?" "Like Ethan really is my son, like you're really my family, like I've found my place in the world. And that's a bad thing. It's dangerous, because none of it is truly mine. You're a beautiful family, but I'm just the nanny." "Emily, stop putting yourself down. You're not just anything. You're essential to us." Just then, Ethan started crying in the living room, and the two women went to check on him. "He was fine just a minute ago," Brandon said, rocking the baby unsuccessfully. Emily took Ethan into her arms, and he immediately calmed down. "Maybe he wanted his aunt," Rachel said, smiling. "Aunt?" Brandon asked. "That's what we're calling Emily from now on. Aunt Emily." Brandon smiled. "Aunt Emily. It fits perfectly." Emily's eyes welled up. Being officially recognized as Ethan's aunt was a dream she hadn't even known she had. "Thank you," she whispered, rocking Ethan. "You don't know what this means to me." "Oh, we do," Brandon said. "It means the same to us as it does to you." That night, Emily came home transformed. Jennifer noticed the change immediately. "You seem different, lighter." "They called me Aunt, officially." "What do you mean?" Emily told her about the conversation with Rachel and how she was now officially Aunt Emily. "Is that a good thing or a worrying thing?" Jennifer asked. "I think it's good. Really good. For the first time in 3 years, I feel like I have a family." "And what about more children? Can you handle that?" "I don't know, but I want to try. I want to be there for every stage of their lives." Jennifer watched her sister with concern and affection. She could see that Emily was genuinely happy, but she also noticed how intensely she was becoming attached to that family. "Just promise me you'll keep taking care of yourself too. You can't live just for others." "I promise. But Jen, for the first time, I feel like my life has purpose again." And it truly did. In the following months, Emily became fully integrated into the Millers' daily routine. She knew all of Ethan's habits, exactly how he liked to be rocked, to sleep, which songs soothed him, and how to get him to eat when he was cranky. Ethan, in turn, clearly recognized Emily as an important figure in his life. He smiled when he saw her in the morning, reached out his little arms when he wanted to be held, and always calmed down more easily with her than with anyone else. "I think he loves you more than us," Brandon joked one Thursday afternoon. "Don't be silly, you're his parents. But you're the one who spends the most time with him. It's natural he's attached." "And I'm attached to him too," Emily admitted. "We can tell, and it's beautiful to watch." When Ethan turned 2 months old, Rachel and Brandon threw a small party at home. They invited some relatives and close friends, and insisted that Emily join as a guest, not as an employee. "Your family. Family belongs at the party," Rachel said, "but I should be helping with the preparations, serving people." "Not at all. Today, you're the guest of honor." The party was small but joyful. Emily met Rachel's parents, who were extremely kind to her after hearing how well she cared for Ethan. She also met some of the couple's friends, who repeatedly praised how happy and calm Ethan seemed. "Rachel told me your story," said Mrs. Thompson, Rachel's mother, talking to Emily in the backyard. "What a terrible tragedy you went through." "It was really hard," Emily replied, "but look how God works. He took one baby from your life but gave you another. In a different way, but he gave you one. I never thought of it like that. Ethan is very lucky to have you, and you're lucky to have him. I really am. Rachel told me you're thinking about more babies. Will you stay to help?" "If they want me to, I'll stay." "Of course we want you to," Rachel said, joining the conversation. "Emily is part of the family now." That night, after everyone had left and Ethan was asleep, Rachel, Brandon and Emily stayed up talking in the living room. "Thank you for being part of the party," Rachel said. "It was important to have you here. Thank you for including me. I really felt like family." "Because you are family," Brandon said. "Actually, we have a proposal for you." "What proposal?" "We want to formalize your role here. Not as a nanny, but as, I'm not sure what to call it, family caregiver, official aunt." "What do you mean?" "We want you to move in with us," Rachel said. "We have a guest room we never use. You could live here, be part of the family for real." Emily's heart raced. The offer was tempting, but also frightening. "Are you sure? Living together is very different from working together." "We're sure," Brandon said. "You're already part of our lives every day. Making it official would feel natural." "What about Jennifer? She lives with me. She can visit whenever she wants, and you can spend weekends with her too, whenever you like. Can I think about it?" "Of course, no pressure, but no, it would mean a lot to us." "And to Ethan," Rachel added. "He'd have his auntie always close by." Emily spent the whole night thinking about the proposal. On one hand, it was everything she'd ever wanted, to be part of a family, to care for a child she loved, to have a stable home. On the other hand, it meant leaving Jennifer, giving up her independence and fully committing to this new life. "What do you think?" Jennifer asked Emily at breakfast. "I think you've already made up your mind. You just want my approval." That's not true. I'm really unsure. Em, I'll be honest, I'm worried about how involved you're getting, but I also see you've never been happier. And I think you should follow your happiness, even if it's risky. You won't. Be upset if I go. I'll miss you, but I'll be happy knowing you've found your family. They said you can visit anytime, and I will visit. I want to watch Ethan grow up too. That afternoon, Emily gave her answer to Rachel and Brandon. I accept. I want to move here. The joy on their faces was immediate and intense. Really? Rachel asked, hugging Emily. Really? I want to officially be part of this family. When can you move? Brandon asked. This weekend? I don't have many things. Perfect, we'll get your room ready. And so 3 months after finding Ethan crying in the restaurant bathroom, Emily Parker moved into the Miller family home, officially becoming part of the family she had chosen to love. The transition was smoother than Emily expected. The room Rachel and Brandon prepared for her was cozy and full of natural light. They insisted she decorate it however she wanted, and even bought new furniture to make her feel at home. This is your space, Rachel said. You can do whatever you want here. Thank you. I can't believe this is real. It is real, and it's forever, if you want it to be. Living in the same house as Ethan brought them even closer. Emily woke up in the middle of the night when he cried, helped with nighttime feedings, and was there for all the little everyday moments. You're better than me at getting him to sleep, Rachel remarked one night after watching Emily calm Ethan in just a few minutes. It's practice, and maybe he's used to me. It's love. He feels how unconditionally you love him. I really do, more than I ever thought possible. When Ethan turned 4 months old, he started smiling on purpose, always more at Emily than anyone else. At 5 months, he began trying to talk, and his first syllable was Ma, which everyone took as an attempt to say Emily. He's trying to say your name, Brandon said, moved. Coincidence, Emily replied, but inside she was glowing. By 6 months, Ethan could sit up with support and clearly preferred Emily's presence. He cried when she left the house and babbled excitedly when she returned, as if telling her everything that happened while she was gone. He's completely in love with you, Rachel observed, and I with him. We can tell. It's beautiful. Around this time, Rachel and Brandon started seriously talking about having another baby. What do you think? Rachel asked Emily one evening as they watched TV in the living room. I think you'd be amazing parents to as many children as you want. But could you handle 2? I could. I'd love to. Even knowing it would mean more work, more attachment, more love, Emily finished. Yes, even knowing that. Rachel smiled and exchanged a meaningful look with Brandon. Actually, Brandon said, we've already been trying. Really? Emily felt a mix of joy and nervousness. Yes, and we wanted you to be the first to know when it happens. I want to be the aunt to all your babies, Emily said, emotional, and you will be. Forever. 2 months later, Rachel found out she was pregnant again. Ethan was 8, months old and crawling around the house, following Emily everywhere. Emily! Rachel shouted, coming out of the bathroom with the pregnancy test in her hand. It's positive. Emily was on the living room floor playing with Ethan when she heard the shout. She immediately stood up and hugged Rachel. How wonderful, congratulations. Are you happy? Rachel asked, a little unsure. I'm overjoyed. Ethan is going to have a little brother. Or sister, corrected Brandon, who had arrived home in the middle of the celebration. Either way, it'll be just as beautiful. That night, after Ethan had fallen asleep, the 3 of them talked about their plans for the new baby. We'll have to reorganize the house, Rachel said. Maybe turn the office into a bedroom. And we'll need more baby gear, Brandon added. 2 babies are more work than 1. I'll help with everything, Emily said. You can count on me. We know we can. We couldn't do this without you. Rachel's second pregnancy was easier than the first, mostly because she knew Emily would be there to help with Ethan and the new baby. Emily attended every doctor's appointment, helped prepare the baby's layette, and got ready to welcome another member into the family. Ethan, now almost a year old, had become a happy and affectionate child. He toddled around the house after Emily, calling her Em, his version of Emily, and slept better when she was nearby. He sees you as a second mother, Rachel observed, watching Ethan play in Emily's lap. Don't exaggerate, you're his parents. We are, but you're also a mother figure to him, and that's beautiful. When Rachel entered her 8th month of pregnancy, Emily began to feel a familiar anxiety. It was around the same time she had lost Michael, and the painful memories came rushing back. Are you okay? Rachel asked, noticing Emily was quieter than usual. I am. Just a little anxious with the birth getting closer. Good, anxious or bad? Anxious. Both. I'm excited to meet the baby, but also bad memories from this time in my pregnancy. Rachel understood immediately. Do you want to talk about Michael? It was rare for Emily to speak about the son she had lost, but in that moment she felt the need. He would have been born around this time, late August, early September. That must be hard for you. It is, but it's also comforting to know I'll be here for the birth of Ethan's little sibling, like Michael is sending another baby for me to care for. I think he is. And I think he'd be happy knowing you found a family who loves you. Do you really love me? Emily, you're essential in our lives. Of course we love you. Rachel's words brought peace to Emily's heart. For the first time, she could think of Michael without paralyzing pain. She could imagine he would approve of the choices she had made. On September 3rd, Rachel went into labor. Emily stayed with Ethan while Brandon took Rachel to the hospital. It was the first time she'd be completely alone with Ethan for so long, and she was nervous. Where's Mama? Ethan asked, searching for Rachel around the house. Mama went to have the baby. Soon she'll be back with your little sibling. Baby? Yes, a tiny baby for you to take care of and play with. Ethan didn't seem to fully understand, but accepted the explanation. He spent the day playing normally with Emily, who checked her phone every 5 minutes for updates. At 4 in the afternoon, Brandon called. Emily, she's here. It's a girl. A girl? How is she? And Rachel? Both perfect. Sophia Christine. Miller. 7 pounds 50 centimeters, beautiful like her mother. Sophia, what a lovely name. When can I meet her? Rachel wants you to be one of the first to see Sophia. Can you come to the hospital tomorrow morning? Of course. What about Ethan? Bring him too. We want him to meet his sister. That night, Emily barely slept from excitement. She couldn't wait to meet Sophia, but was also nervous about caring for 2 children at once. The next morning, she arrived at the hospital with Ethan in her arms, who was curious about where they were going. We're going to see Mommy and the baby, Emily explained in the elevator. Baby, repeated Ethan, excited. When they entered the room, Rachel was in bed with a small pink bundle in her arms. Her eyes lit up when she saw Emily and Ethan. Emily, come meet Sophia. Emily approached the bed and Rachel placed Sophia in her arms. The little girl was small and perfect, with a delicate face and dark hair like her father's. She's beautiful, Rachel, perfect. Do you want to hold her? Rachel asked Ethan. Ethan shook his head no and hid in Emily's arms. That's normal, said Brandon. It'll take him a while to get used to it. Emily, Rachel said, I wanted to ask you something. Of course. I'd like you to be Sophia's godmother, officially. Emily felt her eyes fill with tears. Godmother? Really? Really, you're already part of the family. Now we want to make it official. I'd love to. It would be an honor. Then it's settled. Sophia will have the best godmother in the world. Emily looked at Sophia in her arms, then at Ethan in Brandon's arms, then at Rachel and Brandon smiling. This was her family. Her real family, born of choice and love. 5 years later, Emily Parker was sitting in the backyard of the house she now considered truly hers, watching 6-year-old Ethan teach 5-year-old Sophia how to ride a bike. In her lap, she cradled William, Amanda, and Brandon's 3rd child, just 6 months old. Be careful, Sophia, Ethan shouted when his sister wobbled. I'm fine, Sophia replied, determined to learn. They get along so well, Rachel remarked, sitting beside Emily with 2 cups of coffee. They do. Ethan is very protective of her. And of William, too. The other day I caught him singing his brother to sleep. Emily smiled, watching William sleep peacefully in her arms. This was the 3rd baby she'd helped raise, and each one had brought unique joy to her life. Rachel, can I ask you something? Of course. Have you ever regretted including me in your family? Rachel looked at her in surprise. Never. Why? Sometimes I wonder if I've complicated your lives too much. 3 kids, a makeshift aunt living at home. Emily, you're not a makeshift aunt. You're a real aunt, an official godmother, a second mother. And you haven't complicated anything. You've made everything better. Really? Brandon and I were just talking about this the other day, about how different our lives would be if you hadn't come into them. And we agreed they'd be much harder and much less happy. You really said that? We did. Ethan's called you Auntie Em since he learned to talk. Sophia sees you as a second mum. William smiles more for you than anyone else. You're essential to this family. Emily felt her eyes well up, as always happened when she reflected on how her life had changed. I've never properly thanked you for what you've done for me. What we've done? Emily, you're the one who changed our lives. You're the one who's cared for our children as if they were your own. You're the one who's made this house a happier home. But you gave me a family. You gave me purpose. You gave me love. And you gave it all back, twice over. William stirred and began making little noises in Emily's arms. Instinctively, she started rocking him gently, and he settled. You know what I find most amazing? Rachel said. What? How naturally motherly you are. How each of our children bonded with you instantly. How you can calm them, teach them, love them. It's because I truly love you. All of you. And we love you. More than you know. Ethan and Sophia came running over, breathless and sweaty, from playing. Auntie Em, Ethan shouted. Sophia can ride her bike all by herself now. I can, Sophia said proudly. Want to see? I'd love to. But first, let's get you two some water. The children went inside to drink water, and Emily was left alone with Rachel and William in the backyard. Emily, can I tell you something? Of course. Sometimes I look at you with the kids, and it moves me. Because I see you've found your place in the world, and I see the kids have found something special in you, something only you can give. What do you mean? You love them differently than Brandon and I do. Not better or worse, just different. It's a love that's more intense, maybe? Like you need to love them to keep living. Rachel's observation was spot on. Emily truly loved Ethan, Sophia, and William with an intensity that sometimes scared her. It was as if all the maternal love that had been dammed up for years was pouring out over those 3 children. It's true. I need them just as much as they need me. And that's beautiful. It's what makes you the perfect aunt for them. That night, after the 3 children were asleep, Emily stayed alone in William's room, watching him sleep in his crib. It was a ritual she'd kept since Ethan was a baby, spending a few quiet minutes with each child before bed, just watching and giving thanks. Thank you, William, she whispered. Thank you for being part of my life. William slept peacefully, unaware of his aunt's emotions. Emily gently touched his little face, feeling his soft, warm skin. You, Ethan, and Sophia are the children of my heart. You didn't come from me, but you're mine all the same. That's how Emily had learned to see them, as borrowed children, chosen children, children of the heart. They weren't biologically hers, but the love she felt for them was as real and deep as any mother's love. Auntie Em? Ethan's sleepy voice made her turn. Hi, sweetheart, why are you awake? I had a bad dream. Can I sleep with you tonight? Of course you can. Emily picked Ethan up and carried him to her room. He curled up beside her in bed and soon fell back asleep. As she watched Ethan sleeping next to her, Emily reflected on the 7 years that had passed since she found him crying in the restaurant bathroom. 7 years that had completely changed her life, taking her from a broken woman with no purpose to a beloved aunt, a devoted godmother, and an essential part of a happy family. She thought of Michael, as she always did before bed. She imagined he'd approve of the choices she'd made, that he'd be happy knowing she'd found a way to be a mother, even if it wasn't what she'd originally dreamed of. Thank you, Michael, she whispered into the dark, for leading me to this family, for letting me love other children, for giving me the strength to keep going. And so Emily Parker, who had once lost everything she loved most, fell asleep beside the boy who had saved her life, surrounded by the love of the family she had chosen. and who had chosen her back. The next morning, Emily woke to Sophia shaking her arm. Auntie M, William's crying and Mummy's still asleep." Emily checked the clock. 5:30 a.m. William had slept through the night, which meant he was very hungry. "Okay, Sophia, I'll take care of him. Can you go back to bed? Can I help?" "Of course, come with me." Emily got up carefully so as not to wake Ethan and went with Sophia to William's room. The baby was crying hungrily, and she picked him up to soothe him. "What does he want?" Sophia asked. "He's hungry. Let's make his bottle." In the kitchen, while preparing William's milk, Emily watched Sophia trying to help. The little girl had become her shadow, always wanting to be part of caring for her baby brother. "Auntie M, when I grow up, will I be a mommy like Mommy?" "If you want to be, yes. And will I have an aunt like you to help?" The question tugged at Emily's heart. Sophia had no idea how profound that simple observation was. Maybe so. Or maybe you're meant to be the special aunt for someone else's children, like you are for us? Exactly like I am for you. Sophia fell silent for a moment, processing the information. "Auntie M, would you have been a real mom if you hadn't become our aunt?" The question caught Emily by surprise. Sophia was only 5, but sometimes she showed remarkable insight. "I tried to be a mom once. It didn't work out. But then I found you all and I became an aunt, which is almost the same thing." "It's better," Sophia declared, "because then you can take care of more kids." "Why is it better?" "Because if you were just a mom to one kid, the other kids wouldn't have an aunt like you." Sophia's simple logic made Emily smile. In a way, the girl was right. Being an aunt to so many children let her spread her motherly love to more people. "You're very smart, Sophia." "I know. Mommy always says that." Emily handed William his bottle while Sophia watched intently. It was a peaceful morning moment that had become routine over the years. "Auntie M," Sophia said after a few minutes. "Yes? You're never going to leave, right?" "Why do you ask?" "Because my friend Madison said her aunt left when she got too big." Emily's heart clenched. Sophia's insecurity was understandable but painful. "Sophia, look at me," Emily said, placing William in his bouncer and kneeling to meet the girl's eyes. "I'm never leaving. This is my family, and family doesn't abandon family. Promise?" "I promise. I'll be here when you grow up. When you go to school, when you graduate, when you get married, when you have kids. And when I have kids, will you be their great-aunt?" "I will, if you want me to." Sophia hugged Emily tightly. "I do. I want you to be their great-aunt too. Then it's a deal." Rachel walked into the kitchen just then, still in her pajamas with messy hair. "Good morning, everyone. Did William wake up in the middle of the night?" "He woke up a little while ago. He's already fed and calm," Emily replied. "You always wake up before me," Rachel noted. "I think you just have sharper ears for baby cries. It's practice. 7 years of taking care of babies sharpens your senses." 7 years, Rachel paused to think. "Wow, that's right. Ethan is 6. It's been 7 years since you came into our lives. Long enough to consider you all my real family." "We are real family. The realest kind. Family by choice." Ethan wandered into the kitchen then, still sleepy. "Good morning, everyone. William woke up early today." "He did. But he's fed and happy now," Emily said, lifting William from his bouncer and handing him to Ethan. "Hi, little brother," Ethan said, making faces at William, who smiled in return. "He smiled," Sophia squealed. "William smiled at Ethan." "He always smiles at you," Rachel said. "He loves his big siblings." "And he loves Auntie M too," Ethan added. "He always stops crying when she holds him." "It's because Auntie M has special baby powers," Sophia teased. "I don't have any powers. I just have a lot of love to give." "That is a special power," Rachel said. "The power of love." The morning continued peacefully, filled with the family routine Emily had grown to love. Breakfast together, getting ready for the day, playing in the backyard, tending to William. In the afternoon, while William napped and Ethan and Sophia played in their room, Emily and Rachel sat talking on the porch. "Emily, I need to tell you something," Rachel said. "Of course. What is it?" Brandon and I have been talking about having more kids. Emily felt a mix of joy and apprehension. And we decided 3 is enough. William will be the youngest. Why? Asked Emily, trying to hide the disappointment in her voice. Several reasons: financial, practical, time-related, and also because we don't want to overwhelm you. Rachel, you've never overwhelmed me. I'd love to take care of more babies. We know you would, but we have to think about the future. Ethan is already in school. Soon Sophia will be too. William will grow up, and we want you to have your own life too. My own life is this: it's taking care of you. Emily, you're 28. You could still meet someone, get married. I don't want to meet anyone. I don't want to get married. I want to stay here, with you. Rachel noticed the anxiety in Emily's voice. No one's kicking you out. This will always be your home, but we want you to know you're free to build your own life too. What if I don't want to? What if the life I want is exactly this? Then it'll stay exactly this, but without the pressure of constantly taking care of babies. Emily fell silent, processing the information. Part of her was relieved to know she'd always have a place in that family. Another part was sad to know there wouldn't be more babies to care for. Can I ask you something? Rachel said after a few minutes. Of course. Are you happy? Truly? Emily thought about the question. Was she happy? She was certainly happier than she'd been in the years after losing Michael. But there were moments of emptiness, moments when she wondered if she wasn't just living through other people's lives. Most of the time, yes, I'm happy. And the times when you're not, sometimes I miss, I don't know, having something that's just mine. Like what? I'm not sure. Maybe a job outside the house, maybe hobbies, maybe, I don't know. Emily, you know you can do anything you want, right? You can study, work, have hobbies, but what about the kids? Well, the kids will grow up, and they'll need less and less constant care. Ethan is almost independent already. Sophia is growing up too. William will grow up as well. It's hard to imagine my life without taking care of babies. That's what saved me after Michael. And it'll still be important, but maybe it's time to think about other ways to be happy too. That night, Emily lay awake thinking about her conversation with Rachel. Was it true that she only knew how to be happy by taking care of babies? Had she become too dependent on that family? The next day, she decided to talk to Jennifer, who had become a psychologist and now had her own practice. Jen, can I ask you something as a psychologist? Of course, but as a sister too. Is it possible for someone to only find happiness through other people's lives? Why are you asking that? Emily told her about the conversation with Rachel and her own reflections. Do you think you're only happy through other people's lives? Sometimes I think so. That all my happiness comes from taking care of the kids, from being part of that family. And is that bad? I don't know. Rachel made me wonder if I shouldn't have other interests, other sources of happiness. What would you like to do besides taking care of the kids? I don't know. It's been so long since I've thought about it. Think now. If you could do anything, what would it be? Emily was silent for several minutes. I think I'd like to help other people who've been through what I've been through. Women who've lost babies who can't have children. That's interesting. How would you do that? I don't know, maybe studying psychology like you, or maybe working in hospitals or support groups. That sounds like a wonderful purpose, and it doesn't conflict with your love for the kids. On the contrary, it complements it. You think so? I do. You could use your experience of pain and overcoming to help other women, and keep being the amazing aunt you are. But I didn't even finish high school. How am I going to go to college? There are adult education programs, there's the SAT, there are lots of ways. If you really want to, you can do it. The conversation with Jennifer planted a seed in Emily's mind. For the first time in years, she began to imagine a future where she could have her own career without abandoning the family she loved so much. In the weeks that followed, Emily started researching adult education programs and psychology degrees. She discovered she could finish high school in 6 months through an accelerated program and then take the SAT to get into a public university. What do you think? she asked Rachel, showing her the brochures she had collected. I think it's amazing. You studying psychology would be perfect. Won't it interfere with my work with the kids? We'll figure it out. Ethan is all ready. In school all day, Sophia starts next year. William is the only one who needs constant care, and I can adjust my hours at the hospital. You'd really support this? Of course, Emily. We want you to be fulfilled in every part of your life. And Brandon? What does he think? Brandon is happy with anything that makes you happy. That night at dinner, Rachel told the kids about Emily's plans. Auntie Em is going to study, Sophia said excitedly. Study what? Ethan asked. Psychology. To help people who are sad. Like how you helped us when we were babies, Sophia asked. Similar, but with grown-ups who have hurt hearts. Will you still be our aunt? Ethan asked, worried. Always, forever, studying won't change that. Auntie Em is going to be the smartest aunt in the world, Sophia said. She already is, Ethan said. She knows everything about babies and kids. Now she'll know about grown-ups too, Sophia added. The kids' excitement about her studying plans filled Emily with confidence. Maybe it really was possible to have her own career without giving up the family she loved so much. 2 months later, Emily was enrolled in the adult education program, working to finish high school. She woke up early to study before the kids were up, studied during William's naps, and studied at night after everyone was asleep. You're really dedicated, Rachel observed, watching Emily with books spread across the kitchen table. I want to pass the SAT on my first try. I don't want to waste time. Are you sure you're not pushing too hard? You take care of the kids all day and still study late into the night. I'm fine, actually. I feel more energized than I have in years. Why? Because I have my own goal for the first time since Michael. Rachel smiled, happy to see Emily so motivated. I'm proud of you. Thank you for supporting this. Of course, family supports family. 6 months later, Emily had finished high school and was studying intensely for the SAT. The kids had gotten used to seeing her always with books and even helped in their own way. Auntie Em, I brought you water, Sophia said, appearing in the room with a glass. Thank you, sweetheart, you're so thoughtful. Ethan told me to ask if you want him to read William a story so you can study more. That's so sweet, tell him yes, please. The kids had become her biggest cheerleaders. Ethan always asked what she was learning. Sophia drew good luck cards for her tests. And even William seemed to understand that when Auntie Em had books out, he should make less noise. On the day of the SAT, the whole Miller family rallied to support Emily. Eat a big breakfast, Rachel said, setting a table full of food. And take these chocolates to eat during the test, Brandon said, handing her a small bag. Auntie Em is going to crush it, Ethan and Sophia shouted together. Thank you, everyone. You're the best family in the world. So you're also the best aunt in the world, said Ethan, hugging her. And the smartest too, added Sophia. Emily left for her SAT exam with her heart full of love and confidence. The result didn't matter. She had already won the most important thing, which was the unconditional support of the family she loved. The test went smoother than she expected. Emily felt prepared and confident, especially in the essay, which was about motherhood and different forms of family love. When she returned home that evening, she found the whole family waiting with a cake that read, "Congratulations, Auntie Em." The results aren't even out yet, she said, moved. It doesn't matter, Rachel replied. We're already proud of your effort. And I'm sure you passed, Brandon added. You're the most determined person I know. 3 months later, the results came in. Emily had been accepted into the psychology program at the public university in Portland. The celebration was epic. Auntie Em is going to be a psychologist, Sophia shouted, jumping around the house. So proud, Ethan said, imitating an adult. I knew you could do it, Rachel said, hugging Emily with tears in her eyes. I wouldn't have made it without you, Emily replied. Without your support, without this family, without this love. Of course you would have, Brandon said. You're amazing all on your own. We were just lucky to be part of your life. That night, after the children had gone to bed, Emily stayed, alone in the backyard, gazing at the stars and reflecting on everything that had happened over the last 8 years. From a broken woman who had lost everything, she had become a beloved aunt, a devoted godmother, and now a future psychologist. She had found a family, a purpose, and a new way to dream about the future. She thought of Michael, as she always did in important moments. She imagined he would be proud to see her so strong, so fulfilled, so full of love to give. "Thank you, Michael," she whispered to the stars, "for guiding me to this family, for giving me the strength to start over, for letting me be happy again." A gentle breeze rustled the trees in the yard, and Emily felt as if it were an answer, an approval, a blessing for the new chapter of life that was beginning. And so, Emily Parker, who once thought her story had ended, discovered it was really just getting started, with a family who loved her, children who adored her, and a future full of possibilities ahead. Years passed, and Emily graduated with honors in psychology. During college, she developed a thesis on maternal grief and different forms of motherhood, which caught the attention of professors and peers. "Your work is deeply personal and moving," her advisor remarked. "You should consider specializing in this field." "That's exactly what I plan to do," Emily replied. Ethan was now 12, a responsible preteen who helped with William whenever needed. Sophia, at 11, had grown into a kind and intelligent girl who dreamed of following in Emily's footsteps and studying psychology too. William, 6 years old, was a cheerful and curious child who followed Auntie Em everywhere. "Auntie Em, when you become a real psychologist, will you still live with us?" William asked one afternoon as they did homework together. "Of course I will. This is my family. Families don't split up. Even when I grow up, especially when you grow up, then you'll bring your kids to meet Great Aunt Emily." William smiled, satisfied with the answer. "Just like Sophia said she'll do." Exactly like that. When Emily graduated, the entire Miller family was there at the commencement ceremony. Ethan, Sophia, and William made signs and cheered when her name was called. Rachel and Brandon cried with pride, as if it were their own daughter graduating. "Speech, speech!" the children shouted when they came home. "I don't have a speech prepared," Emily laughed. "Speak from the heart," Rachel suggested. Emily stood up in the middle of the living room, with the whole family seated on the couch waiting. "Well, if it's to speak from the heart," she began, already emotional. "When Ethan was 2 months old and I found him crying in the restaurant bathroom, I had no idea my life was about to change completely." The children exchanged glances, knowing this was the family's favorite story. "I was a broken woman, with no purpose, no family, no hope for the future. And you gave me all of that. You gave me love, you gave me purpose, you gave me a reason to live again." "You gave us all that too," Ethan interrupted. "Let me finish," Emily smiled. "This graduation isn't just mine, it's ours. This whole family's, because without your support, without your love, without your patience, I never would have made it." "Now will you help other people like we helped you?" Sophia asked. "I'll try. I'll work with women who've been through what I've been through. I'll help them find new ways to be happy like you helped me." "And you'll still be our aunt?" William asked. "Forever and ever. Even when you're adults, even when you have your own families, even when I'm a little old lady with a cane." "Promise?" William insisted. "I promise. This family is my choice for life." Everyone stood up and shared a group hug, which had become the Miller family. Tradition for special moments. 2 years later, Emily had specialized in maternal grief and opened her own practice. She worked with women who had lost babies, women who couldn't get pregnant, women struggling with motherhood-related issues. "How do you handle working with this every day?" Rachel asked one evening. "Isn't it too painful?" "Sometimes it is," Emily admitted. "But it's also very rewarding. Every woman who heals, every mother who finds peace after loss, every person who discovers a new way to love. It's like Michael, and everything I went through served a greater purpose." "You're truly happy, aren't you?" "I am. I have my family, my work, my purpose. For the first time since I lost Michael, I feel my life is complete." But Emily's sense of fulfillment would be tested in ways she couldn't imagine. It all started on a Thursday morning when William, now 8 years old, woke up with a high fever and vomiting. Rachel, who had become a supervising nurse at the hospital, was in a week of double shifts and couldn't miss work. "Emily, can you stay with him today?" Rachel asked, clearly worried. Of course, I'll cancel my morning patients. You don't have to cancel everything. Maybe it's just a 24-hour bug, but it wasn't just a simple bug. William got worse during the day. His fever spiked to nearly 104 degrees, and he started having trouble breathing. Emily called Rachel immediately. "Rachel, I think you need to come home. William is really sick." "What do you mean really sick?" "Fever of 103.6, labored breathing. He's a little confused. I'll take him to the hospital. Can you meet me there?" Emily's heart raced. Hospital. The last time she'd been in a hospital with a young child was when she lost Michael. All the painful memories came flooding back. "Of course, I'll meet you there." At the hospital, William was diagnosed with pneumonia and had to be admitted. Emily stayed in the room with Rachel and Brandon, watching the boy they loved so much hooked up to machines and receiving IV medication. "He'll be okay," Rachel said, more to convince herself than to reassure the others. "He will." Emily agreed, but inside she was reliving all the fears she'd overcome. "Auntie Em?" William's weak voice called out to her. "I'm here, sweetheart. I'm scared." "You don't need to be scared. Mom, Dad, and I are all here, and the doctors will take very good care of you. You won't leave." "I won't leave. I promise." William gave a faint smile and fell back asleep. Emily held his hand, feeling as if she were reliving a nightmare. "Emily, are you okay?" Rachel asked, noticing how pale she looked. "I'm fine. It's just hard to see him like this." "I know it is. It's hard for us too." "It's different," Emily said, her voice trembling. "It's like I'm going through it all over again." Rachel understood immediately. She took Emily's hand. "William isn't Michael, and this time, everything will be all right." "How can you be sure?" "Because I have to believe it, and so do you." Emily spent 3 days at the hospital with William barely leaving his room. She cancelled all her patients, ignored calls from her practice, and devoted herself entirely to caring for the boy she considered her child of the heart. "Auntie Em, you seem different," William observed on the 3rd day, when he was feeling better. "Different how?" "Sad, scared." Emily was surprised by the boy's perception. "I'm worried about you, but the doctor said I'm better. Why are you still sad?" How could she explain to an 8-year-old that seeing him sick had brought back old wounds? How could she say she was afraid of losing him like she had lost Michael? Sometimes when we love someone very much, we get scared of losing them. "Are you scared of losing me?" "I am. You, Ethan, and Sophia are the loves of my life." "Auntie Em, I won't leave, I promise." The innocence of William's promise made Emily smile, but it also made her reflect on how her life revolved entirely around those 3 children. What would happen when they grew up, when they moved out, when they started their own families? William was discharged on the 4th day, fully recovered. But the experience had shaken Emily in a way she couldn't shake off. "You've been acting strange since William got sick," Rachel noted a week later. "I'm fine." "No, you're not. You've been anxious, overprotective with the kids, and cancelled half your patients this week. It's just seeing William sick reminded me of things I'd rather forget. Michael, of how fragile happiness is, how everything can change in an instant." "Emily, William is fine. Pneumonia in kids is common and treatable. It wasn't serious." "But it could have been. What if it had been something serious? What if I lost him like I lost Michael?" Rachel realized Emily was having an anxiety episode tied to her past trauma. "Honey, have you ever thought about therapy? As a patient, not a therapist?" "What for?" "To deal with these fears. To not let the past trauma ruin the present." "I know how to handle trauma. I'm a psychologist." "But sometimes even professionals need professional help." Emily knew Rachel was right, but she resisted the idea of seeking help. She had spent years helping others, and admitting she needed help herself felt like weakness. 2 weeks later, however, something happened that made her reconsider. Sophia, now 13, came home from school crying. Emily was at her office, but Ethan called asking her to come home urgently. "What happened?" Emily asked as soon as she arrived. Sophia had locked herself in her room, refusing to talk to anyone. "We don't know," said 15-year-old Ethan, clearly worried. "She came home crying and locked herself in her room. Where are your parents?" "Mum's at the hospital, Dad's in an important meeting." I tried calling, but I couldn't reach either of them. Sophia. Emily knocked on the bedroom door. It's me, Auntie Em. Can I come in? I don't want to talk to anyone, came the muffled reply. It's okay, you don't have to talk, but can I stay right here outside? Emily sat on the hallway floor, leaning against Sophia's bedroom door. Ethan and William sat beside her. What do you think happened? Ethan asked. Maybe it's bullying at school, William suggested. There are some boys in my class who are really mean. Or it could be trouble with a friend, Ethan said. Girls her age have a lot of drama with friendships. Emily heard sobs coming from the room and felt her heart tighten. She wanted to go in, hug Sophia, and fix whatever problem she was facing. But she also knew that sometimes kids needed space. After half an hour, the door slowly opened. Sophia appeared, her eyes red and swollen from crying. Can I talk to just Auntie Em? She asked. Ethan and William stepped away, and Sophia sat beside Emily on the hallway floor. What happened, sweetheart? My history teacher talked about adoption today, and a girl in class said adopted people aren't really loved by their adoptive parents. Emily's heart raced. Even though Sophia wasn't adopted, she knew the girl connected with stories of unconventional families because of their own situation. What else did she say? That families who aren't blood-related are fake, that when things get hard, those people leave. Sophia, you know that's not true. Do I? Sophia looked at Emily with doubt-filled eyes. You're not our real mum. You're not our blood relative. What if one day you get tired of us? What if you find a real family? Sophia's words hit Emily like a punch to the gut. All the fears she'd tried to hide came rushing out at once. Sophia, look at me, Emily said, holding the girl's face in her hands. You, Ethan, and William are my real family, the truest family there is. But you could leave. You're not obligated to stay. Could I leave? Yes, but I won't. Because I chose you, and choice is stronger than obligation. How can you be sure? Because I've been here for 14 years. I've cared for you since you were a baby, watched you take your first steps, say your first words, go to school for the first time. Do you really think I'd walk away from all that? I don't know. People change. Some things don't change, Sophia. Real love doesn't change. Sophia hugged Emily tightly, and they stayed like that for a long time. Auntie Em? Yes? If you'd had real children of your own, would you still love us the same? The question stirred something deep in Emily. Sophia, you are my real children of the heart. You didn't come from me, but you're mine. Really? Really. And to prove it, I'll tell you something I've never told anyone. What? When you were 3 and got sick with chickenpox, I stayed up 3 nights straight taking care of you. On the 3rd day, you got better and said, "Thank you, Mum." It was the first and only time you called me Mum. Sophia's eyes widened. I called you Mum? You did. And in that moment, I felt like I was truly your mum of the heart. Why did you never tell me? Because I didn't want you to feel confused about who your real mom is. Rachel is your mom. I'm your aunt of the heart, but the love is the same. Can I tell you a secret too? Of course. Sometimes when I talk about you to my friends, I say my second mom, not my aunt, because that's how I feel. Emily's eyes welled up. Thank you for considering me your second mom. You've always been. For as long as I can. Remember. That night, after Rachel and Brandon came home from work and Emily told them what happened, the whole family gathered in the living room for a talk. Boys, Rachel said, Auntie Em is part of this family forever. That will never change. Says, but what if she wants to start her own family? Asked Ethan. This is my own family, said Emily. You are my own family. Even when we're old? Asked William. Especially when you're old, I'll be the doting aunt to your children. And grandchildren, added Sophia, smiling for the first time that day. And great-grandchildren, Emily laughed. That's a long time, William observed. It's the time I want to spend with you forever. But a few weeks later, the stability of the Miller family would be tested again, this time in a completely unexpected way. Brandon came home on a Friday with a worried expression. During dinner, he and Rachel exchanged meaningful glances that didn't go unnoticed by the kids. Dad, "What's going on?" asked Ethan, who at 15 was very observant. "Nothing. Serious, just work stuff." "What kind of stuff?" Sophia pressed. Brandon sighed and looked at Rachel, who nodded. "The company is going through financial trouble. They might have to lay off some employees." "Could you get laid off?" William asked, concerned. "It's possible. We don't know anything for sure yet." Emily felt a chill in her stomach. If Brandon got laid off, how would the family manage? Rachel made a good salary as a supervising nurse, but not enough to support a household of 5. "And if you do get laid off, what happens?" Sophia asked. "We'll figure it out." "We always do," Rachel said, trying to sound more confident than she felt. "I might have to look for a job in another city," Brandon added. "Eugene has more opportunities in my field." Silence fell over the table. The possibility of the family moving to another city hadn't crossed anyone's mind. "Would the whole family move?" Ethan asked. "Most likely," Brandon replied. Emily felt as if the ground had disappeared beneath her feet. Moving to another city would mean leaving her practice, her patients, the life she'd built in Portland. But it would also mean staying with her family. "What about Auntie Em?" Sophia asked. "Would she come with us?" Everyone looked at Emily, who didn't know how to answer. "We'll talk about it if it comes to that," Rachel said. "Right now it's just possibilities." But that night, Emily couldn't sleep. The thought of moving to another city, starting over, leaving behind the practice she'd worked so hard to build, it was terrifying. But the thought of staying in Portland without the Millers was even worse. "Jen, what do I do?" she asked her sister on Saturday morning during their weekly coffee. "It depends on what's more important to you. Family is more important, it always has been. Then you already have your answer. But my practice, my patients, my career... Emily, you can practice psychology anywhere. Women who've been through what you have exist in every city. It's not that simple. It took me years to build a reputation here, and it'll take a few months to build one somewhere else. You're not that waitress with no prospects anymore. You're a licensed psychologist, specialized, with experience. What if it doesn't work? What if I can't adjust?" "Tam, you've adjusted to so much in life. You'll adjust to this too." But Emily wasn't convinced. For the first time since joining the Millers, she felt she might have to choose between her career and her family. By Monday, things got worse. Brandon was called into a meeting at work and received the official news he'd be laid off in a month. "But they'll pay full severance and give a recommendation letter," he said, trying to find the silver lining. "How long do you think it'll take to find another job here?" Emma asked Rachel. "I don't know, the market is tough. Maybe months. And in Eugene?" "In Eugene, I have some contacts. Maybe a few weeks." Rachel sighed. "Then, I guess we'll really have to move." "When?" asked Sophia, who had overheard the conversation. "Probably in 2 months. I need to find a job first, then a house." "What about school?" asked Ethan. "You'll go to school in Eugene. It's a good town with good schools." "What about Auntie Em?" asked William. Again, everyone looked at Emily. "Auntie Em will decide what's best for her," said Rachel. "But she's coming with us, right?" William insisted. "We'll talk about that later," said Brandon. That night, Rachel went to Emily's room to talk privately. "How are you feeling about all this?" "Confused, scared, I don't know what to do. What's your heart telling you?" "My heart says to go with you, but my head says it would be crazy to leave everything I've built here." "Emily, you know we want you to come with us. The kids need you." "We need you." "I know, and you know I need you too." "So what's the problem?" "The problem is I'm afraid of being too dependent, of not being able to live without you." "And is that bad?" "I don't know. Maybe it's healthy for me to learn to live independently from you." Rachel stayed silent for a moment. "Emily, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Do you think we're too dependent on you?" "What do you mean?" "You've taken care of our kids for 14 years, helped us through every hard time, been part of every big family decision. Do you think we're too dependent?" "No, you're a family. It's natural to rely on each other." "Then why would it be different for you? Why would it be bad for you to rely on us?" Emily didn't know how to answer. "Love, that's what family is. It's mutual dependence, mutual support, choosing to stay together even when it's hard." "But what if you change your minds? What if you get to Eugene?" and realize it'd be better without me. Emily, that will never happen, you know that. How can I know? Because you've known us for 14 years. Because you know we'd never abandon you. People change, Rachel. Some things don't. True love doesn't change. It was the same thing Emily had told Sophia weeks before. I need time to think. Of course. But don't take too long. We need to get organized. The next week, Emily cancelled all her appointments and spent days reflecting on her decision. She visited her office, which she had decorated with such care, walked through the streets of Portland, which had become familiar over the years, talked to colleagues about opportunities in Eugene. "You'll be greatly missed here," said Dr. Williams, a psychologist who worked in the same building. "But I understand your decision. I haven't decided yet." "Of course you have. You're just afraid to admit it." "How do you know?" "Because I've known you for years and I know that family is your top priority. What if it's a mistake? What if it's the right choice? Emily, you've spent years helping others overcome loss. Don't make the mistake of losing your family out of fear." Dr. Williams' words echoed in Emily's mind all the way home. When she arrived, she found the 3 children sitting on the porch, clearly waiting for her. "Auntie Em," said Sophia, "we need to talk to you." "Of course, about what?" "About Eugene," said Ethan. "We'll understand if you don't want to go," said William. "But we wanted you to know something." "What?" "That we won't be the same without you," said Sophia. "That we won't be a complete family without you. You'll always be a family, with or without me." "No," said Ethan. "Family is who you choose to love. And we chose you a long time ago. Just like you chose us," William added. "If you don't go, we'll understand," said Sophia. "But we'll miss you every day. And when we have kids, they won't get to know the most amazing great-aunt in the world," said Ethan. "And when we're sad, we won't have the person who always knew how to comfort us," said William. Emily felt the tears start to fall. "You're not playing fair." "We're telling the truth," said Sophia. "You're part of us. If you stay, a part of us will be missing. And if you go, you'll be taking the best part of us with you," said Ethan. That night, Emily made her decision. "Rachel, Brandon," she said during dinner, "I'm going with you to Eugene." The joyful shouts of the 3 kids were heard by the neighbors. "Are you sure?" Rachel asked. "I am. This is my family. My place is with you." "What about your practice?" "I'll open another one in Eugene or work at a clinic. What matters is that we'll be together." "Auntie Em is really coming with us," William yelled, jumping in his chair. "Of course I am. Did you think I'd let you move without me?" "We were scared," Sophia admitted. "Don't be scared. Wherever you go, I go." "Forever?" William asked. "Forever." Brandon raised his glass of water. "A toast to the Miller family, whole and unbreakable." Everyone toasted, and Emily felt peace in her heart. She had made the right choice. But the preparations for the move turned out to be more complicated than they expected. First, there was the issue of the house. Homes in Eugene were more expensive, and with the family's reduced income, it would be hard to find something suitable for 5 people. "Maybe I'll have to share a room with someone," said Sophia. "Or maybe I'll have to get a part-time job," said Ethan. "You won't have to work or share a room uncomfortably," said Emily. "I'll sell my car and help with the move." "Emily, you don't have to." "Yes, I do. We're family. Families help each other." Then came the issue of her practice. Emily needed to transfer all her patients to other professionals, cancel contracts, and handle paperwork. "Is it harder than you thought?" Rachel asked, seeing Emily stressed over the documents. "A little, but nothing that can't be fixed." "Are you having second thoughts?" "No, just nervous with so many changes at once." Then a problem no one had anticipated arose. William didn't want to move. "I don't want to leave," he said, crying one Thursday afternoon. "I don't want to leave my friends, my school, my room." "Sweetheart, you'll make new friends," Rachel said. "I don't want new friends. I want my friends." "William," Emily said, kneeling in front of him, "you know sometimes we have to do hard things for family, right?" "I know. This is one of those times. Dad needs work and the job is in Eugene." "But why does the whole family have to go? Why can't it just be Dad?" "Because family stays together. Always. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard." William thought for a moment. "Auntie Em will be there." I will. And you'll keep taking care of us? Always. And we'll still be family? Forever. William nodded, but he was still sad. Can I take my toys? All of them. And can I come back to visit my friends? Whenever possible. Okay then. A week before the move, Brandon received a better job offer than expected in Eugene. The salary would even be higher than what he made in Portland. This is a sign we're doing the right thing, Rachel said. I hope so, Emily replied, still nervous about the move. Are you scared? I am. I've lived here for 14 years. It's William's whole life, almost all of Sophia and Ethan's. Everything will work out. You'll see. On moving day, the whole family got up early to take care of the last details. The moving truck arrived at 8 in the morning, and they began loading the furniture and boxes. Our house is going to feel strange without these things, Ethan remarked, watching the furniture being carried out. Any place becomes home when we're together, Sophia said. That's right, Emily agreed. Home isn't a place, it's people. When the truck left, the family stood in the empty house for a few minutes in silence. Are you ready? Brendan asked. We are, Rachel answered. Emily looked around one last time. In that house, she had become an aunt, a godmother, a member of a family. In that house, she had found purpose again after losing Michael. Thank you, she whispered to the empty walls. Thank you for what? William asked. For all the happy moments we had here. We'll have happy moments in the new house too, Sophia said. We will, Emily agreed. I'm sure of it. The trip to Eugene took 3 hours. The children slept in the back seat, while Rachel, Brandon, and Emily took turns driving and talking about the future. What do you think it'll be like? Emily asked. Different, Rachel said, but good, because we'll be together. And if we can't adjust, we will, Brandon said, because we're strong and because we're family. When they arrived in Eugene, the new house was waiting for them. It was smaller than the last one, but cozy, and with a nice backyard. It's pretty, Sophia said, exploring the rooms. My room is small, but it has a cool window. Ethan said. The backyard is huge, William shouted, running across the grass. What about you, Emily? What do you think? Rachel asked. Emily looked around. The house was different, the town was different, everything was different, but the family was the same, and that was what mattered. I think it'll be perfect. Really? Really? Because you're all here. The first few months in Eugene were challenging for everyone. The children struggled to adjust to their new schools. Brandon had to get used to a different job. Rachel had to transfer to a new hospital, and Emily had to restart her career from scratch. It's harder than I thought, Emily admitted to Rachel one night after another frustrating day trying to establish professional connections. For me too. The hospital here runs very differently. And the kids are having a tough time. Dad's school. Sophia cried yesterday because she missed her old friends. William asked if we could go back to Portland. And Ethan's quieter than usual. The two fell silent, each lost in their worries. Did we do the right thing? Rachel asked. I don't know, Emily said honestly, but we did the only thing we could. What do you mean? We stayed together. Family sticks together even when it's hard. Do you regret it? Coming here? Never? That it's been hard? Yes, it'll get better. How do you know? Because it has to. Because we're strong. And because we have each other. And Rachel was right. Slowly, each family member began to adjust. Ethan befriended a classmate who also loved books and video games. Sophia joined the school volleyball team and quickly made friends with the other girls. William discovered a little park near their house where he could play every day. Brandon settled into his new job quickly and even got a promotion after 3 months. Rachel adapted to the new hospital and soon was coordinating important projects. And Emily, after many failed attempts, landed a position as a psychologist at a clinic specializing in women's mental health. It's perfect for you, the clinic director said during the interview. Your expertise in maternal grief is exactly what we need. Thank you for the opportunity. You're the one doing us a favor. It's hard to find professionals with your experience and sensitivity. 6 months after the move, The Miller family had completely adjusted to their new life in Eugene. "You know what I've noticed?" Rachel said during a Sunday dinner. "What?" everyone asked. "That we're closer now." "The move brought us even closer." "It's true," Ethan agreed. "When things were tough, we helped each other more. And we discovered we can overcome anything together," said Sophia. "That's what a real family is," William said. "Sticking together even when it's hard." "Especially when it's hard," Emily corrected. "Auntie Em, are you happy here?" Sophia asked. "I am, very happy." "Even though you had to start all over?" "Starting over with you is always a joy." That night, Emily reflected on how her life had changed once again. Once more she had found stability and purpose. Once more the Miller family had been her salvation. She thought of Michael, as she always did before falling asleep. She imagined he would be proud to see her so brave, so willing to start over for love. "Thank you, Michael," she whispered, "for giving me the strength to follow my family, for teaching me that love is about choices, not obligations." And so, Emily Parker closed another chapter of her life, always beside the family she had chosen, and that had chosen her back. 2 years after moving to Eugene, the Miller family's life was more stable than ever. Emily had become a respected figure at the clinic where she worked. Ethan was in his senior year of high school, and already making college plans. Sophia had become one of the top students at school, and William was fully adjusted and happy. It was on a Tuesday morning that everything changed again. Emily was in her office seeing a patient when she got an urgent call from Rachel. "Emily, can you come home now?" "What happened? Are the kids okay?" "The kids are fine, but I need to talk to you. It's important." "Rachel, you're worrying me. Just come home, please. I'll explain everything when you get here." Emily cancelled the rest of her appointments and rushed home. She found Rachel sitting in the living room with a serious expression she hadn't seen in years. "What's wrong?" she asked, sitting beside her. "Emily, I need to tell you something, and I need you to hear me out before you react. You're scaring me. I'm pregnant." Emily felt as if the world had stopped. Pregnant. Rachel was pregnant again, 14. Years after William. "Sarah pregnant?" she repeated, trying to process the news. "Yes, 2 months along." "But how? You weren't trying." "We weren't. It was a surprise. A huge surprise." Emily fell silent, trying to understand how she felt. Part of her was happy at the thought of caring for another baby. Another part was worried about what it meant. And Brandon? What did he say? He was shocked at first, then happy, really happy. "Do the kids know?" "Not yet." "I wanted to talk to you first." "Why?" "Because you're part of every important decision in this family. And because I know this affects you." "Affects me how?" "Emily, you'll be 42 when the baby's born. This'll be the 5th time you help raise a child who isn't biologically yours. And I want to make sure you're okay with it, that it won't be too painful." Emily considered the question. Would it hurt? Caring for another baby, knowing she'd never have one of her own, would it be a blessing or torture? "Can I be honest?" she finally said. "Of course. I'm scared." "Scared of what?" "Scared of getting too attached, scared of getting hurt, scared of losing myself again in this role of the eternal caregiver." Rachel took Emily's hands in hers. "Honey, you're not just a caregiver. You're a psychologist. You're a sister, you're a friend, you're a woman. Taking care of our children is part of who you are, not all of who you are. Sometimes I feel like it's all I am. It's not. And this baby, you don't have to be the primary caregiver like you were with the others. I'm older now, more experienced, better able to handle things on my own. But I want to help. That's what confuses me. I really want to care for this baby, but I'm also afraid of wanting it too much." "Emily, you're allowed to want it. You're allowed to get attached. You're allowed to love. This baby will be so lucky to have you as their aunt." "What if I lose myself again? What if I stop having my own life just to focus on the baby?" "We won't let that happen. This time, we'll make sure you keep your life, your career, your interests." "How?" By setting boundaries, sharing responsibilities, always remembering you're the aunt, not the mother. Emily stayed silent for a few minutes. Can I ask you something? Of course. Why did you want to talk to me first? Because I know this baby will change the family dynamic again, and I want to make sure we're all ready. Do you think the other kids will be jealous? Ethan and Sophia, no. They're old enough to understand. William, maybe a little. He's always been the youngest. We'll have to prepare him. We will, all of us will have to prepare. That night, Rachel and Brandon told the kids about the pregnancy. A baby? William asked, his eyes wide. That's right, Brandon said. You're going to have a little brother or sister. But I'm the baby of the family, William said. You'll always be our baby, Rachel reassured him, but now you'll also be a big brother. Like Ethan and Sophia were big siblings to you, Emily explained. Were they good siblings? The best, William admitted. Then you'll be an amazing big brother too. Ethan and Sophia reacted with surprise but soon grew excited. I'm gonna have a baby sibling, Sophia said. Can I help take care of them? Of course, Rachel said. We'll all help. And Auntie Em will help too, right? Ethan asked. I will, Emily said. But this time, I'll share the responsibilities more with all of you. Why? William asked. Because you're all big enough to really help, and because it's important for everyone to be involved. It'll be fun, Sophia said, like we're a team. We are a team, Brandon said. We always have been. The months of the pregnancy passed differently than before. Emily stayed involved but in a more mindful, balanced way. She kept working, maintained her hobbies and friendships, and helped with baby preparations without losing herself in them. You're different this time, Rachel noted in the 6th month. Different how? More balanced, involved but not consumed. I'm trying to learn. After 15 years, I'm trying to do it differently. And you're succeeding. I hope so. In March, Emma Miller was born, a beautiful, healthy girl who quickly won over the whole family. She's perfect, Sophia said, cradling her newborn sister. Just like Mom, Ethan said. And Dad too, William added. And she has Auntie Em's eyes, Rachel teased, winking at Emily. Emily held Emma for the first time and felt her heart melt, as always. But this time it was different. The love was deep but not desperate. The bond was strong but not obsessive. Hi, Emma, she whispered. I'm your Aunt Emily. I'll take good care of you, but this time I'll take care of myself too. The baby opened her eyes as if she understood. I think she got it, Rachel laughed. I hope so. Caring for Emma truly was different. Emily was part of everything, but she always shared the responsibilities with Rachel and the kids. Ethan helped with the nighttime feedings. Sophia loved giving her sister baths, and William became the best entertainment to make Emma stop crying. We really are a team, Rachel remarked, watching the whole family involved in the baby's care. And it's working really well, said Emily. Are you happy? Very. And for the first time, I'm happy without losing myself. What do you mean? I love Emma deeply, but I know I'm her aunt, not her mother. I'm involved, but I'm not the only one responsible. It's balanced. Finally. When Emma turned 6 months old, the Miller family was more united and happier than ever. The older kids adored their baby sister. Emily had found the balance she'd always searched for, and Rachel and Brandon were fulfilled with the large, harmonious family they'd built. You know what I realized? Rachel said one night as they watched Emma sleeping in her crib. What? Asked Emily. That this is our final setup, the complete Miller family. So 5 kids are enough for you? Emily teased. 5 kids? Rachel smiled. I have 4 kids. You're the one with 5. Rachel. It's true. Ethan, Sophia, William, and Emma are my biological children, but you are my child of the heart. My sister, my companion, my family. Emily felt her eyes well up. Thank you for including me as your daughter too. You always were, from the very first day. Really? Really? You came into our lives as a gift, and you've been a gift all these years. You were my salvation. It was mutual, and it always will be. That night, Emily reflected on the 17 years that had passed since she found Ethan crying in the restaurant bathroom. 17 years of love, growth, challenges, changes, joys, and discoveries. She had become an aunt to 4 amazing kids, the official godmother to 3 of them, a respected psychologist, and an essential member of a family that loved her unconditionally. She thought of Michael, as she always did before falling asleep. She thanked him for guiding her steps to this family, for making it possible for her to experience motherhood in a different but equally valid and rewarding way. "Thank you, Michael," she whispered, "for everything, for letting me be a mother of the heart to 4 angels, for teaching me that family isn't about blood, it's about choice and love." And so, Emily Parker, who had once lost everything she loved most, fell asleep surrounded by the love of the family she had chosen, and that had chosen her back, knowing she had finally found her place in the world. 5 years later, Emma was a lively 5-year-old with a big personality. Ethan had graduated with an engineering degree and was working in Chicago, but he visited the family every weekend. Sophia was in college, studying psychology, following in Emily's footsteps, and William was in high school, a calm and responsible teenager. Emily, now 47, had become the coordinator of the clinic where she worked and was recognized as one of the best psychologists in the city for maternal grief. It was a Saturday afternoon, and the whole family was gathered in the backyard for Emma's birthday party. Friends, neighbors, and classmates had been invited, and the house was full of laughter and joy. "Auntie Em," Emma shouted, running to Emily, "come see my present." "What present, sweetheart?" "The one Mommy and Daddy gave me." Emma pulled Emily to a table where there was a doll that looked incredibly real. "Look, it's a baby. Now I can be a mommy like Mommy and an aunt like you." The innocence of Emma's comment made Emily smile. "It's a beautiful doll. How? Will you take care of her? I'll give her baths, change her diapers, put her to sleep, just like you did with me when I was a baby." "Do you remember when you were a baby?" "No, but Ethan told me. He said you took care of me like I was your daughter. And you really took care of me. You're very special to me. Why? Is that because you're my niece from the heart, and because you were the last baby I helped raise?" "The last? You won't take care of babies anymore?" Emily thought about the question. Emma would probably indeed be the last child she'd help raise from birth. Ethan and Sophia, when they had children, would already be independent. William too. She'd be a stand-in grandmother, not the primary caregiver anymore. Probably the last, yes. That makes me sad. Why? Because you're the best baby caregiver in the world. Other babies should be lucky enough to have you. Can't take care of them. Emma's remark stirred something in Emily. Had she wasted her natural talent by limiting herself to only caring for the children of the Miller family? "Emma," Rachel said, approaching, "come sing Happy Birthday." Emma ran to the cake table and Emily was left alone with her thoughts. "What are you thinking about?" Sophia asked, sitting beside her aunt. "Nothing specific, just noticing how everyone's grown." "Are you feeling nostalgic?" "A little, realizing a chapter has ended." "What chapter?" "The chapter of taking care of babies. Emma was the last." "And that makes you sad?" "It does and it doesn't. It does because I love caring for babies. It doesn't because it means all of you have grown into amazing people." "Auntie Em," Sophia sat next to Emily on the backyard bench, "can I ask you something?" "Of course. Just, do you regret anything from these 22 years with us?" "Never, not for a second. Even knowing you could have had a different life, married, had your own children?" "Sophia, you are my own children, from the heart." "I know, but you understand what I mean." Emily thought about the question. Did she regret anything? If she was honest with herself, maybe she regretted taking so long to find balance, getting so lost in those early years. But choosing to stay with the family? Never. "I don't regret a thing. This life, with you, is exactly the life I wanted. Even if it's different from what you dreamed when you were young." "Now, Sophia, when I was young and dreamed of motherhood, I imagined having 1 or 2 kids. I ended up with 4. I imagined raising them until they're teens. I ended up caring for you all into adulthood. I imagined being a mother one way. I ended up being a mother another way, but no less valid. Do you think it was better this way?" I think it was how it had to be, and I'm grateful it turned out this way. Why? Because if I'd had biological children, maybe I wouldn't have found you. And I can't imagine my life without you. Sophia hugged Emily tightly. Neither can we imagine ours without you. Even now that you're all grown, especially now because now we truly understand what you meant to our family. What did I mean? Unconditional love, absolute dedication, constant presence. You were our foundation, our security, our certainty that we'd always have someone. You were all that for me too. I know. It was a perfect exchange. Just then, Ethan walked over with a soda for Emily. What are you two talking about? About how Auntie Em is important to our family, Sophia said. Oh, that's easy, Ethan said, sitting on the grass in front of them. Without Auntie Em, we wouldn't be who we are. And how so? Emily asked. Auntie Em, you taught me to be affectionate, that a man can and should show love. You taught me patience, care, attentiveness to others. Ethan, it's true. I'm a better man because you helped raise me too, not just my parents. And I'm a stronger woman, Sophia said. Because you showed me there's more than one way to be feminine, more than one way to be a mother, more than one way to build a family. Jack, you're going to make me cry, said Emily, her eyes already glistening. And I've learned that family is about choice, said William, joining the group, because you chose us every day, and we chose you. William, were you listening to the conversation? I was passing by and overheard. I wanted to speak too. What did you want to say? That you're the bravest person I know. Because you left your whole life behind to come with us to Eugene. Because you started over without complaining. Because you love us even though we're not your blood children. You are my blood children, said Emily, the blood of my heart. At that moment, Emma came running over. Why are you talking without me? We're talking about how much we love Auntie Em, explained Sophia. Oh, I know all about that, said Emma, jumping onto Emily's lap. I love Auntie Em because she always understands me, always has time for me, always knows what to do when I'm sad. And I love Emma because she's my baby of the heart, said Emily, hugging the little girl. Even though I'm not a baby anymore, you'll always be my baby of the heart, even when you're grown, even when you have children, even when I'm an old lady. Promise? I promise. And I'll take care of you when you're old, if you want to. I do, I'll take care of you just like you took care of me. Rachel and Brandon approached the group. What's this family meeting about? Asked Rachel. About how much we love Auntie Em, said Emma. Oh, then we're joining too, said Brandon, sitting on the grass. I want to speak, said Rachel. Emily, you saved our family. You didn't just help raise our children, you taught us to be better people, better parents, a better family. Rachel, let me finish. You brought such pure, intense, and true love into our home that it changed everything. Our children are better people because they had you, and we're better people because we know you. And I, said Brandon, learned from you that masculinity is also about care, attention, and presence. You showed me that a man can be sensitive without being weak. You're really going to make me cry now, said Emily, wiping the tears that had already started falling. It's okay to cry, said Ethan. They're tears of love. It's just, you have no idea what you all mean to me. When I found Ethan in that restaurant bathroom, I was lost, without purpose, without hope. And now, asked William, now I know exactly who I am and where I belong in the world. I'm Emily Parker Miller, aunt, godmother, psychologist, member of this wonderful family. Miller? Asked Emma. You're a Miller too? I am. Not officially, but in my heart I'm a Miller. That's so cool, we're all Millers. We are, said Rachel. One big united Miller family. Forever? Asked Emma. Forever, they all answered in unison. That night, after the party ended and everyone had gone to sleep, Emily stayed alone in the backyard, reflecting on their earlier conversation. 22 years. 22 years since her life had completely changed. 22 years of love, growth, challenges, joys, and discoveries. She had become a mother without giving birth. She had built a family without blood ties. She had found purpose through love. She thought of Michael as she always did in important moments. She thanked him for guiding her steps to this family, for making it possible for her to experience motherhood, in the purest, truest way. "Thank you, Michael," she whispered to the stars, "for letting me be a mother of the heart, for teaching me that love has no limits, no rules, no definitions, for giving me the strength to build the most beautiful family in the world." A gentle breeze rustled the trees in the yard, and Emily felt it was an answer, an approval, a blessing for the life she had built. And so Emily Parker Miller, who had once lost everything she loved most, had found far more than she ever dreamed of having. A family that loved her unconditionally, a purpose that fulfilled her completely, and a life filled with love, meaning, and joy. The following month, Sophia graduated with a degree in psychology and announced she wanted to specialize in the same field as Emily. "I want to work with maternal grief just like you," she said during dinner. "Are you sure? It's a difficult field, emotionally heavy. I'm sure you inspired me. I want to help other women the way you helped me." "How did I help you?" Emily was surprised. "Auntie Em, you taught me there are many ways to be a mother. That maternal love doesn't depend on pregnancy. That family is about choice. That helped me understand who I am and what I want in life." "And what do you want in life?" "I want to help women who've gone through what you went through. I want to show them it's possible to be happy in different ways. I want to work with you." Emily felt her heart race. "Work with me? If you'd like, we could open a practice together. Mother and daughter of the heart working side by side. Sophia, just think about it. It would be perfect." And Emily did think. For weeks, she considered the possibility of working with Sophia, teaching the young woman everything she had learned, passing on not just professional knowledge but life experience too. "I accept," she said a month later. "Really?" Sophia nearly shouted with joy. "Really? Let's open our practice. Mother and daughter of the heart, helping other families. It's going to be perfect." And it was. 6 months later, Emily and Sophia opened Motherhood from the Heart, a practice specializing in maternal grief, infertility, adoption, and unconventional families. "Our first official day," Sophia said nervously on the morning of the opening. "Nervous?" "Very, and you?" "Excited, but the good kind." "Auntie Em, can I ask you something?" "No, always." "Do you think we'll really be able to help a lot of people?" "I'm sure of it, because we have something many professionals don't." "What's that?" "Real experience, a real story, real love." The practice was a success from day one. Women of all ages sought help dealing with pregnancy loss, fertility struggles, adoption processes, and questions about unconventional motherhood. "You saved my life," one patient said after 6 months of therapy. "You taught me I can be happy even without biological children." "How?" Sophia asked. "I decided to dedicate myself to caring for my sister's children. I'll be their special aunt, just like Dr. Emily was for you." Emily and Sophia exchanged an emotional glance. "That's how love multiplies," Emily said after the patient left. "One love story creates others. Our story is helping people find their own stories." Exactly. 2 years later, the practice had become a citywide reference. Emily and Sophia worked together on complex cases and often saw entire families for therapy. "You know what I've noticed?" Sophia said during a break between sessions. "What?" "That our story isn't just ours, it belongs to so many families. So many people need to hear there's more than one way to build a family." "That's true. Maybe we should write a book." "A book?" "About our experience, about how we built an unconventional family, about how love can overcome any barrier." "That would be amazing. We could call it Children of the Heart," Emily said. "Perfect." And so began another project for the pair. Over the next year, Emily and Sophia wrote a book together, telling the story of the Miller family, from the day Emily found Ethan in the restaurant bathroom to the present. "Do you think people will be interested in our story?" asked Sophia during the final review. "I think so, because our story is about hope, about new beginnings, about unconditional love, and about how life can surprise us in wonderful ways." Exactly. The book was published by a local publisher and quickly gained recognition. Emily and Sophia were invited to give talks, interviews, and attend events related to motherhood and unconventional families. Our story is helping so many people, observed Rachel, reading a positive review of the book. And it's keeping our family together in a different way, said Brandon. How so? Asked Emily. You told our story, now it will exist forever. Our grandchildren will be able to read about how our family came to be. Our grandchildren? Emily smiled. I like the sound of that. And the grandchildren didn't take long to arrive. Ethan married a co-worker named Jessica, and 2 years later Nathan was born, the first grandchild of the Miller family. Auntie Em, do you want to be Nathan's godmother too? Asked Ethan. Of course, it would be an honor. And do you want to help take care of him? Emily hesitated for a moment. Taking care of Nathan would mean reliving the whole experience of caring for a baby again. At 53, was she ready for that? I want to help, but differently this time. How so? I want to be the doting grandma, not the primary caregiver. I want to spoil him, tell him stories, but you're the parents. The responsibility is yours. Perfect. That's exactly how we want it. And so Emily officially became grandma. The most beloved honorary grandma in the world. Nathan adored her, and she spoiled him endlessly, but always respected Ethan and Jessica's role as parents. He's different this time, observed Rachel, watching Emily play with Nathan. Different how? You're more relaxed, enjoying it without worrying so much. It's because I've learned the difference between loving and being responsible. I can love Nathan deeply without feeling responsible for every aspect of his life. You've finally found balance. Finally. A year later, Sophia also got married to a psychologist she met at a conference. And 2 years after that, Olivia was born, the second granddaughter of the Miller family. Grandma Em will have 2 granddaughters to spoil, said Emma, now 13. I sure will, and you'll be the doting aunt, just like I was. I will. I want to be an amazing aunt like you were to us. You will be. Because you learned from the best, Emily teased. I really did. William also grew up to be a responsible and caring young man. At 22, he was in medical school, dreaming of specializing in pediatrics. Why pediatrics? Asked Emily. Because I grew up watching you take care of kids. I want to make a difference in their lives too. William. It's true, Auntie Em. You taught me that caring for children is one of the most important things in the world. Emma, now a teenager, had become a bright and sensitive young woman who dreamed of following in Emily and Sophia's footsteps in psychology. I want to work at your practice when I graduate, she said at 15. Really? Asked Sophia. Really? I want to carry on the family tradition. Mom as a nurse, Auntie Em and you as psychologists. I want to be a psychologist too. And I'll be a pediatrician, added William. We're a family that takes care of people. It's true, said Rachel. Our family has become a family of caregivers. Because we learned from Emily, said Brandon. She taught us that caring is the purest form of love. That night, Emily reflected on how her story had multiplied. Not only had she found a family, but she had helped shape an entire family of people who valued care, love, and dedication to others. She thought of Michael, as she always did in important moments. She thanked him for guiding her steps not just to a family, but to a legacy of love that would spread across generations. Thank you, Michael, she whispered, for letting me plant seeds of love that will keep growing even after I'm gone. And so Emily Parker Miller, who had once lost everything she loved most, had created a legacy of love that would spread through generations, touching not only her family, but all the people her story reached. At 58, Emily looked back and saw a life full of purpose, love, and fulfillment. She had been a mother without giving birth, a grandmother without biological children, and a psychologist who helped other women find their own paths to happiness. Are you happy? Rachel asked one afternoon as they watched Nathan and Olivia playing in the backyard. Completely happy, Emily replied. My life is exactly how I wanted it to be. No regrets? None. Every choice I made brought me here, and here is perfect. Even knowing our family is changing, that the kids are growing up, getting married, having children of their own, especially because of that, it means we did a good job. We raised people capable of building their own happy families. And what about us? What happens to us when everyone leaves home? We're still family, just a family that's expanded. Now we're grandparents, mothers-in-law, great-aunts, and we're still heart sisters. Always. At that moment, Emma came running home from school with exciting news. Auntie Em, something amazing happened at school today. What was it, sweetheart? My teacher asked us to write about our family, and I wrote about how you're not our aunt by blood, but our aunt by heart, and how our family is special because it was built with love, not just kinship. And the teacher read my essay to the whole class. She said it was the most beautiful family story she'd ever read. How wonderful, Emily said, hugging Emma. And there's more. She wants to invite you to give a talk at school about unconventional families. A talk? Yes, to tell our story to other students and teachers. Emily looked at Rachel, who smiled encouragingly. I'll do it, Emily said. It would be an honor. Really? That's so great. And so, Emily began a new chapter in her life, storyteller. The talk at Emma's school was so well received that soon she was being invited to speak at other schools, hospitals, and family and motherhood events. You've become a famous speaker, Sophia teased. Not famous, just someone with a story to tell. A beautiful story. A love story. 2 years later, Emily had become a reference in Portland and the surrounding area when it came to unconventional families. Her talks were always packed, and many people sought out her and Sophia's practice after hearing her story. Our schedule is full for the next 3 months, Sophia said, checking the calendar. It's amazing how our story resonates with so many people. Because it's a real story, about real resilience, about real love, and because it gives hope. It shows that happiness can come in different ways. One Friday afternoon, Emily was at the office when she received an unexpected call. Hello, this is from the Life Stories program on Public Network. We'd like to make a documentary about your story. A documentary? Yes, about how you built an unconventional family and how it inspired others. Would you be interested? Emily hesitated. A documentary would mean sharing her story with the whole country, not just the region. Can I think about it and give you an answer? Of course, but we'd love to tell your story. It's exactly the kind of story the world needs to hear. That evening, Emily discussed the proposal with the whole family. What do you all think? She asked. I think it's amazing, said Emma. Our story will be on TV. But it might be invasive, Ethan pointed out. A lot of people will know about our private lives. On the other hand, Sophia added, it could help so many people going through similar situations. That's true, William agreed. How many people might feel as lost as Auntie Em did before she found us? What do you think, Emily? Rachel asked. It's your story. You decide. Emily thought for a moment. I think we should accept. Our story really could help others. And maybe it's time to show the world that family is about love, not blood. Then it's settled, said Brandon. Let's show the whole country how a real family is built. The documentary, Children of the Heart, the story of the Miller family, aired 6 months later and had an incredible national impact. Emily received hundreds of messages from people who connected with her story. Auntie Em, Emma said, reading messages on her phone, look at this one. Your story gave me hope. I also lost a baby and thought I'd never be happy again. Now I know I can find other ways to be a mother. How beautiful, Emily said, moved. And this one. Thank you for showing me that adoptive families are real families. I'm going to adopt a child and won't feel guilty anymore for not having biological kids. Our story is really helping people. So much. Look how many messages came in today. Emily spent the rest of the afternoon reading thank you notes, requests for help, and stories from people facing similar struggles. I think we need to create something bigger, she told Sophia. What kind of project? A support group for people dealing with maternal grief, infertility, adoption. A place where they can find others who've been through the same things. I love the idea. We can use the office as a base. And we can invite other unconventional families to share their stories too. It'll be perfect. And so the Families of the Heart project was born, a support group that met weekly at Emily and Sophia's office and quickly grew to include workshops, talks, and family gatherings. You've created something wonderful, said Dr. Williams, who now collaborated with the project. You're changing lives. It's just our way of giving back what we received, Emily said. You received a lot. We received a family, unconditional love, a purpose in life, complete happiness. And now you're multiplying it. Exactly. At 60, Emily looked back on her life and saw more than she'd ever dreamed of having. Not only had she found a family who loved her, but she'd also created a legacy of love. That was helping hundreds of people. Ethan and Jessica had 2 more children. Sophia and her husband had adopted another child besides Olivia. William graduated from medical school and was now a pediatric resident. Emma was studying psychology, interning at her aunt and sister's office. Our family just keeps growing, Rachel observed, counting on her fingers. How many are we now? So many, Brandon laughed, and we're not done yet. William's dating a really nice doctor, Emma said. I bet we'll have another daughter-in-law soon. And Emma has her eye on a classmate, Sophia teased. Stop! Emma turned red. It's true, Sophia continued, and he seems to like her too. More family on the way, Emily said happily. Are you ready to be a great grandma? Rachel asked. I'm ready for whatever comes, as long as it's with love. Always with love, Rachel said. This family only knows how to work with love. That night, Emily sat alone in the backyard, reflecting on the 27 years that had passed since she found Ethan crying in the restaurant bathroom. 27 years of love, growth, challenges, joys and discoveries. 27 years building a family that now spanned 3 generations and touched hundreds of other families through the work she did. She had become a mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, psychologist, speaker, writer, mentor. She had found not just a family but a purpose that fulfilled her completely. She thought of Michael, as she always did, in important moments. She thanked him for guiding her steps not just toward a happy life, but toward a life that made a difference in the world. Thank you, Michael, she whispered to the stars, for letting me turn my pain into love, for teaching me that loss can become gain when we have the courage to start over, for giving me the strength to build not just a family, but a legacy of love that will keep growing even after I'm gone. A gentle breeze rustled the trees in the backyard, and Emily felt it was like an answer, an approval, a blessing for the extraordinary life she had built. And so, Emily Parker Miller, who had once lost everything she loved most, had found far more than she ever dreamed of having. A family that kept growing, work that changed lives, and a legacy of love that would spread through future generations. At 65, during a birthday party that brought together over 50 people from their extended family, Emily looked around and smiled. Children were running through the yard, teenagers chatting excitedly, adults tending to babies, and elders, watching everything with affection. It was her family, all of it, built with love, maintained with dedication, and expanded over the years with every new member who arrived. What are you thinking about? Asked Emma, now graduated and officially working at the practice. About how life can surprise us in wonderful ways. Our family really is surprising. Yes, and the most surprising part is that it keeps growing. It always will, because love creates more love. Exactly. At that moment, Nathan, now 10 years old, came running over. Grandma M, my teacher said I can do a project about you for the science fair. About me? Why? Because you're an example of how love can change the world. Nathan. It's true, you changed our family. You changed so many lives through your work, and now you're changing the world with your talks. I didn't change the world, Nathan. I just found my family and my purpose. But that changed our family's world, and the world of the people you help, and the world of the people who listen to your talks. Nathan's simple wisdom made Emily pause. Maybe she really had changed the world. Not the whole world, but the world of many people, and maybe that was enough. Thank you, Nathan. You can do your project about me. That's awesome. I'll tell our whole story. Our real story, because it's a family story, not just mine. Exactly. Our family is the best in the world. And Nathan ran off to share the news with his cousins. He's right, said Sophia, who had overheard the conversation. Our family really is the best in the world. Because it was built with love, said William, joining the group. And because we never give up on each other, added Ethan. And because there's always room for more love, said Rachel. And because it teaches that family is about choice, not blood, said Brandon. And because Auntie Em taught us that love has no limits, said Emma. Emily looked at each of them, her heart overflowing with gratitude. Do you know what I've learned all these years? She asked. What? They all asked. That it doesn't matter how a family begins. What matters is how it stays together. It doesn't matter if the children come from our womb or our heart. What matters is if we love them unconditionally. It doesn't matter if the family is conventional or not. What matters is if it's built with love. And our family is built with so much love, said Rachel. With the greatest love in the world, agreed Emma. Forever, said William. Forever, repeated Emily. And in that moment, surrounded by the family she had chosen, and who had chosen her back, Emily Parker Miller knew her life had been exactly as it was meant to be. Perfect in its imperfection, complete in its uniqueness, and eternally blessed by love. The end. Now tell us what you thought of Emily and her family of the heart. Do you believe love can truly overcome any barrier? Have you experienced or heard similar stories? Share your thoughts on family, love, and overcoming challenges in the comments. We'd love to read your honest opinion about this journey of unconditional love. Thank you so much for joining us.